doing whatever. I ended up going to the courthouse to check in. I had my friend in the car waiting for me. I had all my shit, all the drugs, because we were about to go make whatever plays we had to make. And I go upstairs, and my probation officer isn't there. But this other probation officer that she didn't like us. I don't know what her problem was. She saw me and was like, "Oh, what are you here for? Nobles, what are you here for?" And I'm like, I hate that they know me when I walk in. They know all of us. As soon as we walk in, they're like, "Nobles, what?"
Yeah. The
And
last
it's like,
name raises their hat.
right. And even like when I got out of jail, I didn't put Nobles on my Facebook because like I was trying to stay discreet, but that didn't work.
Yeah.
Only worked for a little bit.
This call is from a federal prison.
A lot of decisions I made were all my fault. People think I went crazy, but when your eyes are open, you can't be shut. You can't shut them no more. You know what I'm saying?
Word. Welcome back to the W Number. Today I got Jamie Nobles in here, and we're just gonna get into her life and talk about her brother, talk about the experiences she had with him and DDU, just seeing the changes in him, but also her life and her addiction and everything, her struggle, everything that she's been through growing up in Fall River, all that. So Jamie, just tell us, a little bit about yourself, like from the beginning, where you grew up, you know what I mean, your mother, your father, all that.
I'm from Fall River.
Yeah.
My mom and dad, my dad was from down south. My mom was from Massachusetts. Her family came to Mass from Portugal. Basically, she ran away, met my dad, had kids. That's where it started. We lived in Louisiana till I was about 8 years old. We moved back up here. My parents separated. We moved back up here. So it was my mother. She was pregnant with my brother Chad. And so it was me, Louie, Sean, and Boo Boo.
Damn.
And she was pregnant with Chad. So we moved up here. We didn't know anything about Mass. We didn't see cold weather. We didn't see any of that stuff,
What's it like growing up in a Portuguese family?
My mom was tough. Nobody messed with her. I don't know how these kids my brothers got away with the shit they did, because I was scared shit of her. I did not mess with her.
Right.
But she was the type, if they did something, the cops came knocking on the door, she'd be like, "Nope, not them. They were here the whole night." And you'd see them behind her. "No, take us. We're dead. She's got us when you leave."
Right.
They were like, "Oh no, she knows." So
you were more afraid of your mom than the cops.
Hell yeah. She was crazy. She had a paddle that had it was carved out of wood, and it said hot seat on it, and all of our names are carved on this paddle. And she had no problem pulling that shit out. We threw that thing away so many times. It kept showing up.
Who got it the worst, you, Boo Boo, or Louie?
I never got it because I was an angel. But Boo Boo probably got it a lot.
Yeah.
They all did. Because, the three of them, Boo Boo, Sean, and Louie, and Chad. Chad was younger, but they knew, you don't tell on each other. You don't, you know what I mean? You don't. My mother would literally be like, "Come here. You want to tell on your brother? You're getting hit for that too." Right. It was crazy.
Do you think that was just in the way she was raised?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because my mother, my uncles they came from Portugal too, immigrants. They were addicts. They were pretty popular in Fall River with the police. All that stuff. And our family was pretty known from them. You know what I mean? And then these kids causing trouble in the neighborhood. The police all knew him. You know what I mean? So it was just that's how we grew up,
Mm-hmm. No, because your brother's very well known, and especially people who watch my channel, probably a lot of them know him. But what was it like growing up with Jason as a little kid?
He was the cutest kid, blonde hair, bluest eyes.
Yeah.
Cutest kid. And to everybody else, he was such a good kid, but teachers loved him. Everybody, his key workers all loved him. They all thought he was this great kid. He was a good kid, you know what I mean? Yeah. He had shit, like we all do, but he just handled it in a different way. You know what I mean? We were just growing up,
Right.
We didn't have a father figure in the house. My mother was mom and dad, and we didn't mess with her, like I said. But Boo Boo was a good kid to everybody. We always,
Right.
I don't really remember too many Christmases with him because he was always locked up. He was the one that always got caught whenever he did. It was just even young, especially young, did the dumbest shit. But
And you guys grew up on, was it Dover Street, right? Or is it like on Dover Street?
We grew up around the corner on Plymouth Avenue.
Okay.
But it's like down the street.
Right.
Most of the kids that we hung out with lived down that way. So it just ended up being where everybody congregated.
So in Dover Street in Fall River, right? It's obvious, like one of the most infamous, like you said, like everybody from Fall River, I feel like a certain age, you're from Dover Street, right? What is the originations of like Dover Street? Like, was it just people that lived on Dover Street, or how did it become Dover Street and not like Plymouth Street, for instance?
Right. I think that, like I said, growing up, you know, everybody has this one house that they go to, one friend's house that's the house we party at. Yeah. That's the house we hang at. We're going to this one's house. His mother's never home, or whatever the situation is. You know what I mean? The house that we all hung at was on Dover Street.
Yep.
A couple of the other kids that we had, like a big, like they had a lot of friends in our neighborhood. You know what I mean? They all hung out together. So it would literally look like a mob of kids on the corner. And we were just literally just the neighborhood kids hanging out.
Yeah.
But it looked like, what are they doing? You know what I mean?
Right.
But there was a house on Dover Street that we all hung out at. We drank there. We hung there. And
you were one of them?
Yeah, when I was really young. Yep. We all did.
What age were you when you would say that you first started kind of getting high or dabbling with drugs?
Honestly, not until I was an adult. When I was younger, like I said, I was like, I pretty much stayed out of trouble. I didn't mess with my mother. I was really scared of her. So I was like the quiet one, the one who got good grades. I was always trying to be good. I was the oldest out of 11 kids.
Yep.
So, and I'm the oldest girl. So I was the only girl with 4 brothers for a while until my sister was born. I think like for me, what my struggles started with codependency before anything. Like I think that is like the root of through therapy and all that shit. You know, I've been through all that. I've come to like, I look back at things now and like, since my relationship with my mom, like I always wanted to impress her,
right?
You know, like make her happy. And like I knew she struggled. She was a single mom. We always had food on the table. We always had school stuff. We never we didn't know we were struggling,
right?
You know, but like now that I look back at it, it's like, I don't know how the hell she did it.
Right.
But, so that was a big thing, I think, for all of us. My house, there wasn't a lot of affection. She's, like I said, she's from a Portuguese family, and they're not very affectionate people in general. So their culture is to be tough and hard, even on the girls. You know what I mean? So from us being young, we always did our chores. We didn't leave the house until we did.
Right.
We did our own laundry. Like even my brothers did too. She didn't play with us. You know what I mean? Like, and Saturday mornings, everybody would show up at our house and be like, come on, you guys come in. And we'd be like, we got to clean. So everybody's grabbing a broom, grabbing the vacuum, helping, trying to get us out quick, you know?
Yeah. And she had your brothers on that too?
Oh, yeah. If she woke up and Louis didn't do the bathroom or whatever, you didn't go home until the end of the night because you knew it was going down, you know what I mean? Yeah. So she was tough, but we all she taught us no matter what, we have each other. And I get that from her. And it's funny now that I think about that. I think about our family, how close we are and stuff. And it's it all started from her. She drilled that into our heads.
Right.
I mean, I've gone into relationships. I've been in relationships and fought with somebody because of my brothers. I'm not they're my brothers at the end of the day.
Word.
You're I'll never turn my back. Obviously if they're wrong, they're wrong. But
that just gave me chills.
Whatever it is. Yes. It's and that all stems from my mom. No matter what, she drilled that in us. And it was from her brothers too. My mom didn't do drugs. She was an alcoholic.
Was she drinking as when you guys were alive, or she stopped before you? Yeah, okay.
No, she ended up passing away of cirrhosis. So she worked in bar a lot. She bartended. She did a lot of that stuff. When we were younger, she was mostly home. But as we get older, you know what I mean? So we were all trying to I'd get up, I'd be like, Mom, you know, I did all the chores, just trying to impress her all the time. And that started from that. And I think from there, I met my kid's father and I was only 16. He was my first boyfriend, and
first love. Were you still in high school?
Love. Yeah, I was still in high school. So I was at the point where my mom was working a lot in bars. She started drinking.
Okay.
So she wasn't home a lot. We basically had to watch the younger kids. She was out making money. She had to work. She would always like make sure there's dinner, all that stuff. But my daughter, ended up getting pregnant when I was 16 with my daughter.
Damn.
So last year of school, basically I quit high school.
Yeah.
And my mother had a set of twins like a year before I got pregnant. So my brothers, my two younger brothers, are only a year apart from my daughter.
Wow.
Now, you know what I mean? So so they've grown up together and they're like more like brother and sister.
Yeah.
It's just like a big, So she's, working, doing all that stuff, and I'm pregnant. I'm home. I hid it from her because I was scared shit to tell her.
Right.
I was like, she's giving me a trash bag and she's kicking my ass out. Like, I don't even want to tell this lady. But I was working at Dunkin' Donuts. I quit school. My excuse was because I need to work. I need to make money. I didn't want to tell her I'm freaking pregnant.
Yeah.
So anyway, so my kid's father, I was really sick throughout the whole thing. My kid's father ended up telling her on me.
Oh,
he was like, you have to go to the doctor. Like he meant well, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He ended up telling her, but I wanted to kill him because that was like the most devastating thing to me to have to tell my mom.
Wow.
And when I came home that day from work and she already knew, and tears just started rolling down her face and was just like, shit, like I just disappointed her. And actually that night she took off, went and got drunk. You know what I mean? I was just like, damn, Do
you kind of blame yourself for some of that?
No, I think maybe before, but now that I'm older and like I've, thought things through a little bit more, I think like she had her shit too. It wasn't an easy life for her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She ended up remarrying and so she had 5 kids, the first 5 from my father, our father, and then she remarried and had 6 more.
What?
Yeah.
So your mom has 11 children?
Yeah. So,
get the fuck out of here.
I'm the oldest.
Holy moly.
Yeah,
so you're the big sis to 10 other kids.
All these, yeah.
Holy crap.
So she started, becoming more into alcohol and stuff. We know she would come home like 5 o'clock in the morning, you know what I mean? She's a bartender. But I mean, it was like becoming a lot of drinking, like every day type of stuff. And I'm like, damn, like, my kid's father started getting stressed out because we were living at my mom's house and it was a lot of kids all the time. I was left there basically to watch them with my baby, and.
Did you have any other sisters?
I do. I have 3 younger sisters.
Okay.
But they were, at that time, when I had my daughter, they were young. They were like, my sister Chelsea, she's the youngest sister, and she was only 2 years older than my daughter. So she was 2 years old. So there was twins that were a year old. There was a 2-year-old. Then I had, we had my brother Mikey, who was probably like, like another year older than her. So there was, and then my sisters, my sister was like 13 when my daughter was born.
Wow, that's so crazy. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, it is, because they were aunts, like, and uncles when they were babies. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What age were you when any of your brothers started going to getting locked up, or you started seeing them fight and getting involved with crime and stuff like that?
Oh God, they were young.
Yeah,
they were young, and they were arguing they were doing stupid shit. Like Plymouth Avenue is an avenue. There's 2 like lanes with a median in the middle.
Yep.
We lived right there, and everybody would like cruise the avenue. That was the thing to do when you're a teenager. But we lived there, so we were like there all the time. They would literally throw rocks at like cars that they knew who they were, people they fought with. They would be cars pulling over. Like when we were really young, they would press the light, the crosswalk light.
Yep.
They would throw Christmas trees in the middle of the street, burning them on fire. It was just like every day was something. We were getting chased by people. Like one day I remember coming up this, I'm in the house with my mom and I hear like a banging noise in the hallway. And I'm like, what the heck is that?
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, Boo Boo comes in, he shuts the door and he locks the door. And I was like, that was your problem. What's wrong with you? And he was like, where's Louie and Sean? I'm like, I don't know. Like back then we didn't have cell phones.
Right.
We didn't have we had pagers if you're lucky.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You had to be somewhere to wait for a phone call,
I remember that.
It was horrible. I don't know how we did it, but we did. Anyway, so he was like, I just got chased by some Cambodian kids that they were fighting with. And he was like, they just chased me up the stairs. They're in the hallway right now. And I'm like, and I can hear them banging in the hallway and like screaming, and he was by himself.
Yeah.
So, and I swear, like when he slammed the door shut, I saw like the shadow of somebody there, but he slammed it and locked it quick. And I was just like, oh shit. So he was like, he's on the phone and he's trying to call people like, it's Louis and Boo Boo, are they, are they there? So anyway, the kids ended up leaving. My mother ended up going out the window, yelling, screaming. They ended up leaving. They ended up spray painting the whole hallway. When we went down the hallway, it was all spray painted with gang stuff. The curtains were burned on the window. I was like, yo, you're so lucky they didn't catch you because they wanted him. Yeah.
And there's a lot of Cambodians in Fall River.
Yeah. And they used to that used to be their the thing that the ones they fought with all the time, the kids from the Flint. So they did some crazy shit when they were kids.
And the Flint was another street gang kind of.
Yeah, it was a neighborhood that and they didn't get along with the Dover boys. You know what I mean? They didn't get it. They're all friends now. It's weird. It's like they're all good now, but
the older generation coming together against the
younger
generation.
They met in jail and they're like, oh, you are pretty cool. You're okay. I don't know if they had anything specific.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. But
so what age were you when you started getting high or using drugs?
So getting to that, I was with my kid's father for about 15 years. We had 3 kids together. My mom ended up passing away. I took custody of the kids. My brothers were getting high. I was probably their only resort. If I didn't take them, they were probably going to end up in foster care, but whatever. We figured it out. I took the kids. Louis was getting high at that time. Sean was getting high. Boo Boo was in jail when my mom died because they let him. He was actually in Plymouth County, I'm pretty sure. He was in the OCC.
Yeah.
He had gotten to go there for a little while. So they brought him to the hospital in Boston to see my mom when she passed away. And it was a big thing. So she ended up passing away. And right when I left Boston after she passed away, I visited Boo Boo at the jail. And it was, it was upsetting for him. I think he has a lot of regrets about that. You know what I mean? I'm sure he does because it's, but so I was with my kid's father. He was an addict. I didn't do drugs. I worked. I ended up going to school, getting my GED, doing some classes in BCC, getting a job and put my kids in daycare. I was working. I did everything that I thought was right. My mom had passed away. My mom was alive at that time when I was getting my life together. I ended up moving out of her house because it was just too overwhelming with the kids and stuff. I couldn't do it. So basically I started getting on my own, doing my own thing. My kid's father, like I said, he was an addict and I didn't know half of it back then. I didn't know, I wasn't aware of people do these things because of trauma and things that they're going through. Obviously he had a lot of shit.
Right.
And I mean, if you would ask me 10 years ago, I would have blamed my whole life on him. My whole life disaster. But it wasn't his fault. You know what I mean? It wasn't. None of it was, He was struggling with his shit just like I was. He was older than me. I was 16. He was 21. One of my brothers ended up telling on me with that, I think.
Really?
Because I lied to my mom and told her he was 19.
Oh, no.
And somebody told on me with that. But
I feel
anyway,
it was a lot more common back then for that. The 21, 16.
Yeah, it was weird.
Now
I'm like, that's, it's cringy. But so anyway, we ended up at I finally got to the point where he was doing 4 or 5 80s a day. He was selling drugs. I never had been arrested at that time. I'd been arrested, but for stupid shit, nothing crazy. The cops didn't know me. They knew me as the older sister that they brought the kids home to. You know what I mean?
The nobles.
So my kid's father, like I said, he was selling drugs. He was selling drugs to do what he, to keep up with his shit and, whatever. We lived like that for a long time. And then he ended up getting arrested. My house ended up getting raided. And for him. And
so was it your mom's house?
No, this was our own apartment. Okay. Yeah. So I was when that happened, I was probably I was in my 20s, and that was my first drug charge.
Wow.
It wasn't me doing it, but I was living there.
Living in a trap house, basically.
I knew it. You know what I mean? So whatever. They didn't arrest me, but they arrested him. The first time they didn't arrest me, I didn't get charged with it.
Really? That's good.
So this was before my mom passed away. He ended up going to jail for a little while. He ended up going to jail for like 30 days. It wasn't nothing big.
Okay.
Anyway, so we're just, going about life. He ends up getting raided again.
Damn.
So this time they're like, my mom had passed away. The kids are living with us now. Things are stressful. We got our own 3.
Yep.
Then I got my mom's 4 kids. My sisters were still teenagers. My sister had just had a baby. Yep. You know what I mean? So she was 16 with a baby. No mom. You know what I mean? She ended up moving in with her boyfriend and all that. But we had all these kids, and me and him were not doing good. Like, he was getting high. He was spending all the money on drugs. It was just, I was like, to the point where I'm like, I'm done with this.
Right.
Like, I'm over it. So actually, I knew he was getting up in the morning going to get something. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know. Anyway, I called my brother Sean, and one morning he got up early in the morning. He was in the bathroom for so long, and I was just like, what is he doing in here? So, I went in there, and he didn't flush the toilet right. So there's blue bags floating in the toilet. So I was like, I know it's a drug. I don't know what drug it is, but I know it's a drug. I called my brother Sean, and I said, Sean, what drugs come in like a blue wrapper? And he was like, heroin. Why? And I'm like, oh, heroin. I was like, what? Like, this guy's bringing heroin into my house with all these kids. And, so I was just like, nah, I'm done. You got to go.
And did you have another kid with him, or did you only have one
3.
kid?
We have 3 together.
Okay, 3.
We have Brianna, Blake, and Jalen.
And did you have all those at the same time, like when this was happening?
My the 2 oldest are a year apart, and then my youngest is 9 years younger from my oldest. So
I was only trying.
We waited a long time before we the relationship was basically over. I ended up getting pregnant again.
I was only trying to figure out how many people were in there, because you said all the kids were in there, and when he was
the second time my house got raided, the kids were there. My mom's kids were there. So I was really nervous. I was like, and they charged me too this time.
Your mom probably get pissed too.
Well, my mom was passed away at that time.
That's right.
Yeah, because I had the kids. She would have killed me.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't even have went to her house. I would have called her. She would have bailed me out, and then she would have killed me. But she would have been very disappointed in me, So anyway, so he ended up going to jail, and I was working. I was cleaning houses and taking care of all the kids. My sister-in-law lives with me with her 2 kids at the time, so there was that many kids in there. It was like 11 kids in the house, all young, all less than teenagers.
How do you feed 11 kids?
I don't know.
That's like a football team.
Yeah. So my kid's father ends up going to jail for the new charge. This is my first drug charge. They gave me basically a slap on the wrist. It was, I guess, some probation or some shit. I had to do drug testing for a year back then. I was like, all right, fine, that's cool.
Damn.
They didn't open a case for DSS, which was
a blessing.
Was so thankfully that all the shit I've done, I've never had DSS involved.
Word.
Knock on wood. Anyway, so I had all the kids. He's in jail now, and now he was making money, and I was counting on that money. So now I'm like, shit, I'm gonna take his phone. I'm gonna go do something. You know what I mean? So I did.
Yeah.
And I started flipping. He was selling coke. He's, I was like, damn, he was making this much money.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell? How come I wasn't seeing this much money? But he was doing more of his profit than, you know what I mean? So I was like, I quit my job. I was making too much money to be at work. I didn't have time for that shit. Like, it's literally an addiction.
Yeah, it is.
It really is, because that money. So anyway, he's in jail. I'm doing whatever, making mad money. Love it. He's only in jail for 45 days, so I know it's coming to an end soon.
Vacation's over.
So yeah, I'm gonna have to get my ass back to work soon. So I'm like, his plug was even like, no, I don't think he should ever. I think you should just be the one that does it, because he trusted me more than because he was doing his profit. He's probably whatever. Anyway, he's gonna kill me for this.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's just how I got started. And so when he got out, and it was a big happy dad's home. I was like, take your fucking phone, because this phone does not stop. But then in my head, I knew what he was making now. So when he would come home and be broke, I'd be like, no, there's no way. And then it just made like this built up animosity in me with him. I swear it was like, you're choosing that shit over us when you could be bringing home this money. And he had an addiction. It wasn't he wasn't doing any of it on purpose. He loved his family. You know what I mean? Whatever.
It is. It's like a demon. It really is.
So when I found the bags in the toilet, I was like, you gotta go. I was like, you can't stay here. You're not bringing. It was honestly, it was building up to that day, and we'd broken up millions of times. My brothers didn't want to hear it anymore. Right. You know what I mean? They weren't sticking up for me with them anymore because they were like, no, because it's worthless. Yeah. So it was just like that day I was like, no, I'm done. And so I started seeing other people, and it was like a month later, my kids they were going through it because they were used to their dad being there. They weren't used to seeing me with other people, which I did. I mean, I didn't bring them around people, but when I finally did, they weren't having it. These kids tortured this guy. They literally broke his laptop, put his toothbrush in the toilet, and didn't tell him until they told me years later. You know what we did to that guy? Like, can imagine. But anyway, so the new guy that I'm dating, he works and everything's great. He stops working. He's also from Fall River and like known in Fall River. He starts selling drugs. So to make up for not working. And like he's selling heroin at this time. Now, mind you, only like 6 months before I kicked my kid's father out, I'm like, you are not bringing heroin in this house. Right. But this is how codependency is so strong. Like I didn't care. Like whatever he did was fine. Yeah. Because I loved him. You know what I mean? Yeah. What my kid's father did, it was probably an excuse to end that relationship. I use that. You know what I mean? But anyway, like I said, codependency is a mother, Yeah. So whatever he did, I was just like, well, okay with things I wouldn't normally be okay with. Right. Like you are not going to be around the kids with that. Like, and he had it in my house. He's going in and out of the house selling dope, Yep. And anyway, another one, he ends up getting a charge, going to jail too. So I'm like, now I'm stuck here with all these kids. No kid's father to help me.
I've been here before.
So that's how it all started. He ended up catching a gun case and he went upstate for a little while. So that was the end of that relationship, but it was the beginning of me selling heroin. He made a lot of money, and like at that age I was probably like 35. I didn't know a lot. Like I knew my brothers were addicts. I knew they did heroin. I knew they would never do it in front of me. You know what I mean? They would steal from me, but they never did. Like I would always take them back, and I understood why my mother would always she'd always be washing my uncle's clothes. They would steal her rings off her fingers while she was sleeping. Damn. But she'd still be making them plates for dinner, and no matter what, she did for them. Wow. And I was the same. I started to learn that with my brothers. Like no matter what, I'm still their sister, and I'm still gonna be there for them. Those girls that are in their lives, they don't, they love them, whatever, and they have families, but it's not the same. They're not gonna be there forever, whatever, or maybe they will. Who knows? But
growing up like that, though, like, do you feel like it kind of? I don't know. Like it feels like you were surrounded by addicts and drugs and crime. Yep. And like never got out of it. You know what I mean? Because you went right into a relationship with it. You feel like the whole city was kind of like that?
Yeah, I think a lot of families were like back in the early 90s, and like a lot of people were in Fall River were doing heroin. A lot of like Portuguese families were, and I mean it's like now it was just a lot more hush hush back then. Like you knew about it, but people didn't talk about it, and they didn't admit it, and they definitely didn't say my son Joe's an addict. You know what I mean? Like especially Portuguese people, they have this like pride. You know.
How did it get to where it is today? Basically, what's your opinion on that? I mean, you must have seen the changes.
Oxys started at Perks, 30s, and Oxys, and that's exactly how I started. So anyway, that guy that I was dating out of my relationship with my kid's father, he did Perks and stuff. And like every once in a while with my kid's father, he was doing like OCs. I would take a perk here and there, but it wasn't nothing like I never was sick from it. I never I never even knew what being dope sick was. I never knew any of that stuff. Like, but I would see him sick, but I thought he was lying. I was like, you're just trying to get more drugs. Like, I don't know what you're trying to do, but you know. But anyway, back then we didn't know about it. We didn't know, like, he just sent people to detox, you know, and it was just like
taboo kind
of. Yeah. So now Boo was in jail. He caught a case. Well, that case that he was in jail with my mother, he ended up going to Walpole, going upstate for 6 years, 6 in a day.
Okay.
And he got caught with a gun and an ounce of coke.
Okay.
So that was like his, you know, I don't know if it was his first state bid.
Yeah, I was gonna say, was that his first?
I think it was his first state bid, but he had done time in Dartmouth before that. He was in DDU. Like, as a kid, like, I used to go visit him in DDU on Christmas. It was just like, we never had a Christmas all together because he was always gone, or, you know.
Where was Louis at this time? Because I remember
Louis ended up in between, like, my mom passing away. Before my mom passed away, Louis used to sell weed when we were younger, and he did really good. Like, the kid made money.
I heard.
He had money, he had cars, he had motorcycles, he had dirt bikes, he had diamonds, he had, you know, watches, all that. And he started using oxys.
Yeah.
And it was okay to take pills. It just wasn't okay to do dope, you know, to do heroin.
Yeah.
So when he started, he found a new plug in Arizona.
Yep.
And him and my cousin Lucas took a ride to Arizona, put up everything he owned, all of his, like, money, borrowed money, put up his car, his brand new BMW for it.
Damn.
So he went down there and got caught, got bagged, coming back, him and my cousin.
Oh, no.
So they were, I don't remember exactly what they got caught with, but they were held down there for trafficking.
Damn.
And it's a big thing down there. You get caught with, they had a bunch of weed.
I'm
you
sure.
Know what I mean? They had probably hundreds of pounds.
Yeah.
So they ended up both going to jail. They were probably set up. We don't really know till this day, but not many people knew the routine.
Right.
But it also is routine for people to be doing shit like that. And so we had to sell all of his shit to get him out of jail. He was in jail in Arizona. We had to get a lawyer, pay the lawyer $10,000. Then we sold dirt bikes, everything dirt ass cheap, just to get rid of it, just because we needed bail money.
Damn.
And so we ended up getting out after a couple months. We bailed him out. He got out. He came back up here. And now he's been in jail for a while, but he's got this addiction. He's still got this shit he hasn't dealt with. He's been clean, but now he's home. He doesn't got shit for money. You know what I mean? He's upset about it. He can't get his car back because he doesn't have the guy's money. Everything's gone. We sold everything. You know what I mean? His kid's young still. Dylan was really young at this time.
I know Dylan too.
Yeah.
Good kid. I like Dylan.
Yeah. He's another one that's, you know, mixed up and shit. But so Louis came home and he started doing heroin. And before my mom even passed away, he was already doing heroin. And at first it was a secret, you know, it was secretive. And then we were at a 4th of July party at his house. And his kid's mother said, we were all sitting at the picnic table with me, my mother, him, and her, and maybe, I don't know who else was around. But she was like, Louis, don't you want to tell your mother what you've been doing? And he was like, looked at her like, shut up. Like, you know, we were just like, what has he been doing? Like, I'm the one, they hid everything from me, you know? Because I was more like the one that would tell them, like, you're retarded. You know, my mother would be like, she'd give him a beating with at that time. You know what I mean? But they were just like, they didn't want to like let me down either. It was just like a weird relationship. I was almost like, I felt like I was their boss.
Yeah.
Even when they were younger, I'd be like, I would be telling them what to do. Like, I thought I was the boss, you know?
Yeah. Sister mom.
Yeah. Like, who did I think I was? And be like, no, you're not eating that, you know? Like, but they would ask me, like, can I have soda? I'm like, go ahead. Like, I'm not your mother, you know? But because I thought I was the boss.
Yeah.
So anyway, when Louis looked at her and she was like, my mom was like, what's wrong? You know? And it was just like quiet. And we were like, what? She's like, tell her what you've been doing. And he was like, Kelly, shut up, mind your business. You know, they got into a little argument. So now me and my mother saying, we want to know what you've been doing.
Word.
You know, like, this conversation isn't over. So he basically was like, she ended up saying it. She was like, he's doing heroin. And I was like, what? Like, this is not a joke. Like, honestly, I was like so devastated that I was just like, what? Yeah. And he was so like disappointed in himself because we knew the way like my uncles got treated. We knew the way they annoyed the shit out of us, even as kids when they were high. You know what I mean? My uncle would be walking around dancing and singing, and like, and I'd be like, oh, here we go. He's gonna drive us all nuts today, you know? Then it was just like Sean was doing it. He was doing it. My kid's father started doing it. It was just like Boo Boo got out of jail and from the 6 in a day, and he started doing it, and it was just like. It was like a crazy year of, you know, craziness.
Yeah.
Like,
Sounds
Boo
like
Matt, Boo got out of jail. He met his wife, Tabitha.
Yeah.
And then called me one day. He brought us to my house to introduce her to me. This is what happened. And he's like, I'm coming by. I'm like, what are you coming by? What? Why? What's wrong? He's like, I want you to meet the girl I'm marrying. I'm like, oh, here we go. He's marrying somebody else today, you know?
Yeah.
He walks in with her, and I was like, who's this? Like, I don't know who this girl is, and you're saying you're marrying her? So I'm like, look, get the hell out of here. So I meet her. Nice to meet you. See you later. We leave. She leaves. They leave. They go off. He is living with my cousin Jeremy now. He has his own place, you know. He's trying to do better. Like, he's got a job, and he's trying to, like, do better with his life. He's working every day, and, like, he really tried. And, like, they had the kid. Him and his kid's mother had a kid. And I'm getting back. That's a different girl. Anyway, so Boo Boo has the kid. He's doing good. Like, he's working. And I have a funny story I have to tell you with this situation too, because the police always thought they could never get them straight. Who was who? You know what I mean? It was always Sean, Louie, and Boo Boo.
Yeah.
They all looked alike. Boo Boo would get blamed for what Sean did. Sean would get blamed for what Boo Boo did. So it was like craziness. So this was before Louie even got arrested. Boo Boo was working. He was trying to do good. Him and Joyce, his kid's mother, were like trying to work on things. They had their own apartment. They had the baby. Baby was going to daycare. Now, Boo Boo's still doing his stupid shit. You know what I mean? He's trying, but he's struggling. And so my mother's boyfriend had this blue minivan, and he used to work construction, so he'd be gone the whole day, but the blue minivan would sit in the back. We would all drive this thing around the city. Yeah. And it was this blue minivan had a horn. It was so like Portuguese that it was so crazy. I was embarrassed. It had like cow cover seats. Yeah. And I was just like, I'm taking these things off. I'm driving this thing. Right? So anyway, I'm sitting on my mom's porch, and we always congregated at my mom's house. Every day it was like all of us would end up there to eat, whatever, just hanging out. The kids would be there. They all wanted to always go to Vo's house, you know. So I'm there at my mom's house, and we're sitting on the front porch, and we're just like, you know, watching things going down. My mom's in the house sleeping. She was already starting to get sick. So I'm outside with all the kids are running around. Louis walks in and with his son, Dylan, and Dylan was young at this time. So Louis, my mom lived on the side of the gas station. He went to the gas station, got the kids all candy and stuff. They had bagged candy. He's walking with his son back to the house, and the cop pulls up. And it's a cop that we all know. And he was like to my brother, Louis, you come here. So Louis was like, me? Like, what? What? He's like, he knows he hasn't done nothing. Right. You know what I mean? He's doing good at this time. He has to be, you know, he's doing good. And if it was a plain police car, it wasn't nothing like detectives. So this cop is like, you come here. So Louis like, what's up? And he's like, what the fuck is your problem? You don't pull over when I tell you to pull over? And he was like, what are you talking about? I've been here. Like, what are you talking about? He's like, no, it was you. I looked right in your eyes, and you were driving that blue minivan right there. So he was like, what? I don't drive that thing. He's like, I wouldn't even get in that thing, you know? So Louis was like, that wasn't me, bro. Like, it wasn't me. So Boo Boo, Louis, the cop is going back and forth with my brother. And he's ready to arrest my brother because they went on a high-speed chase he's like, I just chased you all over the city. Boo Boo had come in when I was sitting on the porch. He put the van away, dropped the keys, and he just left. Didn't say shit to nobody. Yeah. So I'm like, didn't even think of it. So I'm sitting there, and it crosses my mind, Boo Boo just dropped that van. And when he says it, I just chased you all over the city in that blue van. It crossed my mind. I'm like, oh, shit. So my mother never let Boo Boo take the van. He just would steal it. And, you know, while she was sleeping and he had to cash his check and stuff, whatever. So anyway, the cop is like, I was like, well, maybe it wasn't him. You know what I mean? Like, could have been somebody else. He's like, no, it was that van, blah, blah, blah. You guys need to figure this out, who it was. And he's not telling him it wasn't Boo Boo. It was Boo Boo, you know, and I'm not telling him it was Boo Boo.
Of course.
So we're sitting there, and the cop, my kid's father, pulled up at the same time. my kid's father ends up knowing the cop like really well. And they went to school together or whatever. So my kid's father was like, you know, it probably wasn't him doing anything. He's a good kid. I don't see him like pegging off a cop at a stop sign. So I guess the story is Boo Boo was at a light and the cop was at the other light. And it was on Plymouth Avenue, actually. And Boo Boo, they looked over at Boo Boo and Boo Boo pegged him off. And the cop was like, Nobles, you know, and did a Huey, went around, they chased him. He dropped the van off and just left, didn't say shit. So Boo Boo, moral of the story, Booey almost got arrested and charged with it. And Boo Boo, I called him and I'm like, Boo Boo. He's like, what? I'm like, what happened today? He was like, what? What are you talking about? He's like, I said, what'd you do in the van today? He was like, I didn't do shit in the van. What are you talking about? And I'm like, Boo Boo, the cops just left you. Stop playing. I said, Louis just almost got arrested. He was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like, bro, this is me you're talking to. Stop playing. Like, I don't want to hear it. So he was like, he just laughed and he was like, nah, I don't know what you're talking about. He hung up on me. Wouldn't answer the phone after that. So I'm like, the good thing my kid's father knew the guy and he was like, you know what? I'm going to let it go. He insisted that it was Louis. He's like, I looked right into your eyes. They have the same blue eyes.
I know, I've seen
and
them.
I'm like,
Prison. You will not be charged for this call. This call is from
Jason Nobles.
This call will be recorded and subject to monitoring at any time. To accept this call, press 5. To block this call, you may begin speaking now.
What's up, Boo Boo? How you doing, man?
What you up to, bud?
I'm all right. I'm just sitting here with your sister doing an interview, talking about you, talking about your family and her.
Okay, what are you guys discussing?
we were just talking about you.
Her addiction, just, you know, some stories. I think the van story where you might have flipped the cop off and ran from the cops or something like that, pulled the van over and Louis almost got arrested.
Yep.
You got a ton of that story.
Oh yeah, she's telling me. So what's going on with you, bro? It's been a long time.
Yeah, man. I heard, but you've been talking.
Yeah.
Everybody's been contacting us. I'm like, man, different. I feel like that was a lifetime ago, you know?
Yeah, bro. Yeah. So how are you doing now? Where are you?
I'm in Raybrook, New York.
Okay, nice. I think John had told me to tell you hi yesterday when I talked to him. He said if I talked to you to say hello, and he asked if you were in Raybrook. I said I didn't know. So
yeah.
How is it there?
It's good, man. I heard what you said to my daughter too. You message, and I appreciate that. That was big.
Yeah, no doubt, bro.
Very grateful because I've been still trying to get in her life, and all that is, man. You know.
It's hard, bro. I wish if there's anything I could do that would help, that would be the one thing I could. If that could happen, that'd be awesome. Yeah. Can't force it.
Man. I don't know, but you did it. You said something, and I know it reached her, so I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, no doubt. So how are you doing other than that? I heard you had no tickets, nothing since you've been.
Shots. The whole time I've been in the Feds, not one.
Damn, kids. What's the difference? I can't believe it, bro. What?
Jesus.
Word, bro.
Honestly, right? Listen, the truth is, I went through a lot before, you know, with that stuff when we were involved in the max and stuff, and I learned a lot from that. You know what I'm saying? The truth, I didn't understand what I know now about what God is and who God is and all that stuff. So people think I went crazy, but when your eyes are open, you can't be shut. You can't shut them no more. You know what I'm saying?
Word, bro. Yeah, I believe that.
So, like, when I finally opened my eyes, it was scary to me. Now I'm more level-headed and have my balance about me because I understand a little bit more. Now I'm me, and I'm still the same person, but now I'm better. You know, I have integrity. I'm loyal. I have honor, and I have the person that I wanted to be always. I'm still him, but I have now. I'm living in the truth. I'm no longer living a lie.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
The real virtues that come with Jesus.
Man, so and whatever. I don't regret none of it, but I wish it was different. But it is what it is, man. I am who I am because of it. You know.
So how are you dealing with this Fed time now? Like mentally, after doing all that time in the state and then getting out, like what's it feel like?
None of go to the gym and hit the weights right now. You know what I mean?
That's important,
So,
keeping a good attitude, though.
Like, it's straight, bro. Like, the feds is all right. I want to go home, be with my family, but like, it's just, it's not even like doing time compared to where we were.
Right. If you have to be anywhere, it would be there, right?
Yeah, man. The feds, like, that was the war zone. That was like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Every day there was something crazy.
Right.
In the pen, it was like that, but at least I could avoid it more because I understood and knew it because I already lived it.
You feel like it's worse in the state than it is in the feds as far as violence and shit, though?
Well, in the pen, it was crazy. Like, people getting killed all the time there. But there was more stuff in the state, like every day. But when it happened in the feds, it happened, but it was more targeted. Like, all right, this Chomo, this guy's a child molester, or this guy's, you know, it wasn't like there was wars going on between different crews and different things where stuff was just like every day, you know.
Right.
So that there's a difference because in the feds it happens, but it'll be like you know, this guy's no good, this guy's this, they get hit. You know what I mean?
More focused.
But they get killed. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so like, but it's not like where we were, where it was more like, all right, our crew against your crew, and we're trying to hurt each other every day. Even the whole way, or you get them, you know? It was different.
So while you have a chance, man, you know, thousands of people are going to listen to this. So your daughter's going to be one of them. So if you have anything to say to her right now, bro, be the time to do it.
This conversation right here?
Yup, this conversation right here, bro.
Well, I mean, I just tell her, you know, like, she grew up on one side of everything. Let me tell my side, you know? If she would let me hear my side of things, and maybe she would come to terms and have a little understanding about, you know, and I don't say, obviously I agree where I wasn't there and a lot of things that...
This call is from a federal prison.
A lot of decisions I made were all my fault. It wasn't, but
that's
I would definitely want to have...
You heard your sister?
I said that's important to make sure you let her know, like, you know, you're taking responsibility and it's not anybody else's fault, you know?
Yeah, no, but I would just like tell my side, you know?
Yeah, no,
like,
I know.
Bring some closure into it, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I hope that one day she, like, will listen to this and see that, you know, a lot of things people go through is because of their childhoods, things that they've been through. People just don't handle it the same. You know, people just sometimes don't know how to handle it, and this is their coping. And she'll understand when she gets older, but I just hope it's sooner than later.
Booba,
I mean, let me at least talk to her.
You got a smart sister, brother. You do.
Oh, she's very intelligent.
Yeah. I'm sitting here talking to her, man. I'm like, man, you got a cool family, bro. Your brother looked out for the podcast and shit. Like,
oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, bro.
That's what's up.
Yeah, bro. It's going pretty cool. Definitely.
Man, how is it though? Are you doing good?
Yeah, bro. I'm reaching people, man. Like, some of the videos get like 80,000 views, shit like that. Like,
that's what's up.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, somebody sent it to me. That's how I found it.
Well, the truth is honestly that as long as you're doing something for the right reasons, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Do something good. Like I told my sister, now my goal isn't to just, it's maybe to leave something something good in this world when at least I have a chance now to.
Word.
And not, you know,
maybe
a lot of
change that for good.
I was just saying, but like a lot of the things you went through, maybe in like Walpole and stuff, wasn't like things you were proud of, admirable things, but that's what led you up to the life you live in today, the person that you are today. And I was just telling him how, like, the intelligent conversations I have with you now, like, it's like, where did this kid come from? How did he get educated like this? And it's all, he educated himself, basically.
Nah, Boo-Boo's always been smart. We played,
of course.
We were playing chess in the cell together. Like,
but now he knows how to use that smart. Like, I've never had intelligent conversations.
Yeah, I wasn't the best at chess, but, you know. Boo was good though. I won't lie. Boo was better. He was good. So like my sucking just made it look even like he was like a master chess player. So I'm making him look better than you. I just fucking you.
But
yeah, bro. So how are you looking at like release? What's your release time?
Go.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay, bro.
Hey, listen, now call back. Give me another time frame to call back, and I'll call again.
I go live every Monday and Thursday night at 6:30, bro. You could call me anytime I'm live, bro. Put your number.
I'm gonna email him the number.
Yeah,
today.
Yup.
So, well, give it to my sister. I'll get it.
I will.
I gotta go.
All right, brother. I love you, bro.
Bye.
Peace.
Love you too. Bye.
Nice. That was
That was
cool.
cool.
Man. Yeah. At one point, I kind of want to talk about what happened with Louis when he passed away, because that shit. I know your whole family must have been affected really bad, but I know Boo Boo was definitely fucked up over that.
The first loss, that like significant loss for all of us, was my cousin Lucas. Him and Louis were best friends growing up as kids. So yeah, Lucas passed away. He was in a motorcycle chase with cops. He ended up dying. This is a kid that grew up with us since we were little kids. Like his mother and my mother were best friends. Like we did everything together. We went to the beach. They were going to the beach. It was just like any family things we did was with them. So we grow up like, family. And a lot of our people in our family are just friends. You know what I mean? But we consider them family. Lucas passed away. He died. And my mom passed away in January. And Lucas he carried the casket. Obviously, my mom was a significant loss, but she was sick. And it was almost like to the point where it was like a relief when she passed away, because she was so sick and she was struggling, and it was horrible to see her like that. Cirrhosis is a hard, painful way to die. And it's like, it sucked for us to see her like that. And at the end, she was in Mass General. She was in Brigham and Women's, and we were all there. And obviously not Boo Boo, he was in jail, and we decided to like pull the plug up. It was fine. It was a hard thing to do because we all depended on my mother. Like it was the place. We all went there. Even when she first passed away, I had her apartment and I had my apartment, and I'm just like, we gotta like combine this shit. Like, I was still like, the kids didn't want to leave. They didn't want to leave their house. So it was just like, you guys gotta come live with me. We can't have two places. You know what I mean? So Kelly, Louis' kid's mother, ended up moving into my mom's apartment, and like it was kind of good because it was still, we could still go there. You know what I mean? It was weird to not say going to mom's. You know what I mean? I'll be back and going to my mother's. Whatever. The kids would be like, "Can we go to a vote?" As soon as they open their eyes, Louis was running amok at this time. He was getting high. He went through all that stuff with the, Arizona, got caught. He's getting high. He's just crazy, doing the craziest shit. I mean, I'm selling drugs, so I'm like basically supplying them in the morning before they call me in the morning, and they're like, and I don't want to see them doing dumb shit to get drugs, so I'm like here, and I'm so annoyed with them because it's just like calling me for their breakfast. Louis was the worst one. Sean kind of would always try to hide it from me, so he would only ask me if he was desperate. And then Boo Boo, when before Boo Boo went to jail, I was still like, I didn't do it. Boo Boo doesn't really know me as Jamie selling drugs. So, like, a lot of people know me. Oh, that's that girl. She gets money, Yeah. He was in jail for most of it. So he was around, but he wasn't out. Well, so Boo Boo ends up marrying that girl, Tabitha. He calls me one day and was like, Sunday night, and was like, meet me at City Hall tomorrow. And I was like, for what? I'm getting married. I'm like, to who? And he's like, to Tabitha. I'm like, what the fuck is Tabitha? The girl I brought to your house the other day. I'm like, which one? Like, like, are you serious? But anyway, so me and my sister Ashley, I call Ashley. I'm like, your brother's getting married tomorrow. And he's like, who? Which one? Like, to who? Like, so it was like, we go to City Hall, and me and my sister wear like in cute little sundresses. They walk in there in flip flops and jeans and t-shirts, and I'm like, this is how you get married? He's like, who cares? I'm
informal, like, right?
Whatever. Okay. So we look good and you guys look like bums, but okay. They got married. They had custody. She had custody of her niece, Aubrey. So Boo Boo was like involved with Aubrey. So he was trying to, do good, They were both getting high. And he was doing dumb shit to get drugs. I mean, he called me one day and I picked him up on the side of the road, and it was just like, bro, what the fuck are you doing on the side of the road in a stolen vehicle? Right. And I don't even want to get into it because, like, yeah. And it's just like, I was like, why would you call me? He's like, who else am I going to call? Like, who else is going to come to Brockton and pick me up on the side of the road? Because I just did some dumbass shit with this stolen car. And, I'm like, oh, yeah, we'll get in my car and we'll drive out of here, So many times he's done some dumb shit and calls me.
Right. Were you getting high at all yourself?
No, at this time, no. In the beginning, I never touched the shit. And I even remember saying to myself, like, I'm gonna sell dope because I'll never do dope. I'll never touch that shit. Like that's crazy. I'll never touch it. Doing my thing, selling drugs.
What happens to Louis to like end up?
Louis ends up, he got arrested. He was out doing whatever it took to get money, beating people up. He was robbing dealers, like all kinds of shit. Like he did it all, and he was literally running amok in the city. Everybody was talking about it. He lost everything, but he had this RV that he still had. Yeah. And he was literally driving around the city in a fucking RV with like 6 guys in the back partying in this thing. Yeah. Like it was his home. And it was his home at the time because he was homeless, you know? So, and it was just like a nightmare. Yeah. And the thing was breaking down. He couldn't afford to fix it at this point, you know?
And did he give up on the weed business?
Well, the weed business knocked him out because he put up all of his money. He came back to nothing. Yeah, yeah. He literally had nothing. And it kind of put him in depression. He started doing drugs, started doing heroin because it's cheaper. Couldn't afford to get oxys anymore. It really screwed him up. So when he started doing the dope, it just, you know, it starts off okay, cheap at first, but it just trickles, you know. So he's doing that, and he ends up robbing somebody, beat the guy so badly that the kid like ended up in the hospital in a coma. And he supposedly robbed him with he did it with a 2x4, but it wasn't. Him and a girl that he was dating at the time, his kid's mother, robbed the guy. The guy ended up in a coma, almost dying. So Louis gets arrested for that, and the kid told on him, like pointed him out in court. So he was in Dartmouth for, you know, being held without bail. We're sending him money, you know, you're doing all things, calling me. So we had court on Tuesday, and he was like, he called me on the Friday. And he was like, oh, I got court Tuesday, Jamie. I'm going upstate. Can you bring me sneakers, you know, all white, all black? You know, the typical, bring me a cheap sweatsuit from Walmart, just something so I can go in with. They don't let the girls do that shit. Just so you know. I had my sneakers from Dartmouth, my Reebok Classics from Dartmouth. They wouldn't even let them into Framingham. I'm like, you guys sell exactly the same. Nope. Really? But anyway, no, they're hard on the girls. He called me that day. Richie Ferreira actually called me on a 3-way with him because he was there at the time with him. And he was like, I'm taking my plea on Tuesday. So I'm going up for 7 years. He was taking a 7 in a day, I think. I don't remember. It was something to do with 7. So I'm like, all right. The next day, I'm like, Saturday, I have to drop the shit off by Monday. So I'm like, I gotta go shopping. Saturday morning, I wake up and I'm doing my shit. I'm doing my 1-2s, you know. And I get a call from Kelly, his kid's mother, Louis' kid's mother. And she was like, Jamie, she's frantic. And I'm like, what's wrong? What's wrong? She's like, I don't know, but the jail just called me something happened to Louis. And I'm like, what could happen? Maybe he got to a fight or something. They get into fights all the time. Like, you know? And she was like, no, it's serious. Her cousin worked at the jail. So like the cousin called her and was like, something happened, you know, it was a big thing. So I'm like, the jail attorney wants to speak to me. So I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? Like, so I'm his next of kin. So I didn't even think of it at this time. I called the jail and they're like, your brother passed away this morning. And I'm just like, what? How do you pass away in jail? You know? But this was back in like 2013. So back then, people didn't know what fentanyl was yet at the time. Like they did an autopsy. He didn't have heroin in his system, but they didn't know what it was at that time because they were like, he overdosed on something. So what the fuck was it?
So that was fentanyl. Wow. Because I hear about it all the time. And that was during heroin. Yeah. That wasn't during fentanyl. Yeah. That was when heroin was
I guess it came into the jail. Somebody brought it in. Louis basically knew the kid had it. Was like, you're coming with me. You know? And from what I understand, he was overdosing. The kid was in the cell with him. They were locked in at night. And I don't know if, like I've heard different stories, but the story that stands out to me is that the kid told the CO that Louis was overdosing. Like I said, back then, they didn't know what that shit was. They didn't have Narcan. Like, you know, first responders didn't have Narcan. They didn't have Narcan at the jail, you know. If you overdosed, if they couldn't do CPR, it's your shit out of luck. Right. So anyway, but it was like suspicious because the kid, they took the kid out of the cell and routinely, you know, when somebody dies in your cell, they're going to take you out. You're going to the hole until they figure out what happened. Yep. The kid went to the hole, whatever. Louis overdoses, goes to St. Luke's. They said he was pronounced dead in St. Luke's. The kid said from other people in this unit at the time said that they had Louis in that cell for hours, that they never took him out. The nurse didn't even come to the unit for a while. They took him out. He was already dead when they left the jail. They just can't declare him dead at the jail or something. Yeah. So
or they don't want to because they have to write body reports, or they're called something reports, but like, yeah.
So the first time that I got arrested was right when Louis died. The first time I got arrested for drugs, I was dating this kid that was complete addict. He shot up. He was doing it all, shooting coke, shooting dope. Like he was just, but he was like my friend. We were like, and then another, you know, codependency still motherfucker for me. You know what I mean? Like I'm still in these horrible relationships. I don't realize that, you know, whatever. And at that point in my life, I'm not feeling, you know, like the best about myself. Like I'm like, I didn't know it then. I always thought I was the most, you know, confident person in the world. I really never was. But
it's weird how we trick ourselves like that, right?
Yeah. And people will tell you, no, Jamie, she's confident. Like she's not, you know, she's not shy but I really, really was. I'm with this guy. We get pulled over. It's Louis already passed away. It's like 2 days after. We're trying to figure out funeral arrangements. Like I'm his next of kin. It was
only 2 days since he passed away.
Yeah. So I get pulled over, and the kid that I was with, he had did something in the car, and I had a Dunkin' Donuts cup in the console, and he put the empty bags underneath my iced coffee cup in the foam cup and put the cup there. I was just like, I didn't even know it was there. But anyway, we get pulled over. The cops search the car. They find that. And I'm just like, bro, why wouldn't you fucking throw that shit out the window? What the fuck is wrong with you? You know?
Yeah.
We get arrested. I get charged. That's my first charge with heroin. There was nothing even in the bags to charge me with, but we got charged. Yeah. And I'm like, bro, you're really going to charge me with empty bags? Like,
right.
But that's like, you know, that right there was, and I'm getting arrested right now. My brother's going to jail. You know what I mean? And my brother just passed away and I'm going to jail, you know?
Right.
So I was on probation. I violated probation with that charge. So I was just like, wow, they could hold me right now. Like, I'm really fucked. So what they ended up doing was, I always was good with probation. Like the first time I completed probation, I did drugs. I never failed the drug screen. Like, so probation was like cool with me. You know what I mean? They were like, oh, that's the good noble. She failed all, you know, she passed all those drug screens.
Yeah.
At this point, I'm selling drugs. I'm not what they think anymore. But I go to court and they want to hold me. So I'm just like, wow, this is fucked up. You know, my probation officer, she liked me. You know what I mean? I always did what she wanted. I was always there on time. Like I never, whatever. She was like, I'm going to put up PO surety for you. And so you can take care of your brother's shit. And they all knew my brother. When I walked into the courtroom, they were like, apologize. Like cops and probation officers, they know my family since we were little kids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They, and they know us outside of breaking the law. Those people, you know what I mean? They know my mother. Yep. They knew like, they
people
like
from your city that know you.
Yeah. And they're cops and they're still probation officers. They're still like, you know, you don't tell them things, but they were okay, you know, and he was like, you know, we're going to go to bat for you because, you know, we want you to take care of this shit with your brother, you know?
Yeah.
So I was like, wow, like, this is cool. That's the first time in my life that, well, that's not the only time because I always felt like people liked me and that I was better than that life. You know what I mean? And I was in such denial, like that I was even part of that life. So I really thought that I was better than everybody that I was selling these drugs to. Like, so we go through a funeral, we puts up PO surety. I have to check into probation every single fucking day of my life. They
every day
for like 6 months straight because that was the PO surety. That was their surety. They wanted to see my face every day. Damn. And I'm like, wow, like this is crazy. Like
better than prison, right?
Right. And at that time, I didn't really have any options. I was like, I have to bury my brother in a couple of days. I can't miss that. You know what I mean? Like that would be hard. This is my brother. He's the next one down from me.
Yeah.
We grew up as friends, as best friends, not just brother and sister. Like we are so close.
Yeah. And
like no matter what, you know what I mean? I was devastated, but I had to get through that shit. Like I had to be the adult. My mother wasn't there. My father's passed away, you know. So we bury Louis, whatever. I'm checking into probation every single day. So finally I'm like, I'm still selling drugs. I'm still doing my dumb shit. Probation, I'm starting to like miss appointments, getting there late.
Yeah.
And at first she was like, don't worry about it. I was working in the beginning. So I was working in Newport. Getting to Fall River before 4:30 was like hard. Did they close at 4:30? So sometimes I'd be like, please let me in, you know, like banging at the door. Hi, you know. Sometimes she'd wave to me and be like, you're good. Just go, you know. She just literally had to see me and she was like, good. Every once in a while, she'd be like, we're going to test you today. And I was like, fine, whatever. Well, at that time, like I was starting to, like, I was like I was starting to make so much money. I didn't care. Like I didn't care about anything. I was making money. I was, doing whatever. I ended up going to the courthouse to check in. I had my friend in the car waiting for me. I had all my shit, all the drugs, because we were about to go make whatever plays we had to make. And I go upstairs, and my probation officer isn't there, but this other probation officer that she didn't like us. I don't know what her problem was. She saw me and was like, "Oh, what are you here for? Nobles, what are you here for?" And I'm like, I hate that they know me when I walk in. They know all of us. As soon as we walk in, they're like, "Nobles, what?"
The
and
last
it's like,
name raises their hat.
Right. And even like when I got out of jail, I didn't put Nobles on my Facebook because like I was trying to stay discreet, but that didn't work, only worked for a little bit. So I go into court, and this probation officer, she was such a bitch. She sees me and she's like, "Nobles, why are you here?" And I was like, "Oh, I just got to check in real quick. It's already like 4:20. She was like, "Oh yeah, your probation officer's not here." And I'm like, "All right, well, can I check in with somebody else?" Like, what the fuck? I gotta go. My kid's outside in the car. I got mad shit to do. Like, I'm busy. She's like, "We're testing you today." I'm like, "All right." I go test. I fail for heroin. No, for cocaine. But I was selling both at the time. And I never did cocaine at that point, but I was just like, it must have, from touching it, I must have failed. You know what I mean? And I was like, "Are you fucking serious?" And I'm like, this is crazy. So I fail the drug test. She's like, "Meet me in courtroom, whatever, for whatever." I go in there and they're calling my name as soon as I walk in at 4:30 in the fucking afternoon.
Yeah.
They're like, "Jamie Nobles to stand," blah, blah, blah. I go up and they held me.
Damn.
They held me for 45 days on a probation violation.
And so you missed your brother's.
No, that had already passed, and we got through that. And like I'm saying, but now my kid is in the car with my friend.
Yeah.
They got all my money, all my drugs, my phone. I didn't bring nothing in with me. I'm thinking I'm just gonna be quick. And now I'm like, wow, I'm going to fucking jail. This is weird. Like, I've never gone to jail for more than a night. You know what I mean? At that point. And I was on probation, but it was for, for the raid with my kid's father. And I didn't go to jail. I got arrested, but I didn't go to jail, So I'm going to Dartmouth now. And I'm just like, this is crazy. You know what I mean? Like, and not only that, my kid she was probably like 9 or 10 at the time, So they obviously realized that I wasn't coming back out, and like I couldn't call anybody because I'm in this courthouse,
Yeah.
I get to jail. They figure it out, and then that was the most miserable time of my life. You know how hard it is to do 45 days? Like,
yeah, those short bids are worse.
Oh my God. I was just like that. And it was the first one. So I was so miserable. Like, I really thought my life was over. Like, I can't do this no more. Like, so I get out. I do my 45 days. I get out.
What was it like in Dartmouth though? Like for
Dartmouth,
the girls?
The first time going in, it was weird and I was nervous. I'm like, I'm from the street. We know everybody. I know I'm most likely gonna know somebody as soon as I walk in.
Oh yeah.
And as soon as I walked in, they were like, "Is that Jamie? Is that Jamie?" I'm listening. I'm hearing people say my name, and I'm like, "Who are you?" Like, and I go, I get there. I was like, "Bro, this is scary. I'm got this bag. It's like 2 a.m. I'm going onto a unit. This guy is telling me, yeah, just go to that room right there." And I'm like, "What?" Like, is there anybody in there? Like, and I go in, there's already a girl, and I'm like, I'm gonna wake this girl up right now. She's gonna be pissed,
Yeah.
But I'm like, all right, whatever, So I end up, I get up in the morning, they call in breakfast, chow, and I'm just like, I don't know how to do any of this shit. Like, I don't know what this shit is. Who's been in jail all this, my brother's done time, but I've never, when I went in there too, everybody, all the COs were like very apologetic to me too about my brother. They already knew.
Yeah.
So they're like, "Oh, we're sorry about your brother. Your brother was a good dude, He had
the same
respect."
facility.
Yeah.
Same facility.
He's the facility he just died in. So I'm like feeling like, wow, my brother really just died here. This place sucks, Dartmouth sucks.
How many months before that was it?
What do you mean?
Or how long prior did your brother pass, like till you got there?
Oh, it was only like a month. It was only, So like that happened. I did the 45 days. I got out and I had this like, I'm done with that shit mentality, but I wasn't, you know what I mean? I knew I was just going to do it for a little while. I'm going to get back on my feet. I'm going to get an apartment because I had lost everything at this point,
Yeah.
I'm going to get an apartment and I'm going to stop. I'm going to get a job. Right.
Sounds good.
So yeah, exactly. So then I get out, and my mom's kids are basically grown up. But as this stuff's happening, my brother Chad actually stepped in a lot and helped me. He took my mom's kids from me. I'm going to jail. Like I barely can. My kids are 16, 17, and my youngest, but she has her dad, and thankfully he had his own place, and he took her while I went and did that 45 days, and she stayed with him. So that's what I'm saying. We never had to deal with DSS. We always kept our, kept it together enough,
Right.
So
that fine line. That balance
yeah. Oh no, I don't know where I would have been if I didn't. Who knows? But so I'm doing my thing. I'm making money, and I go to jail. I get out. I see my kids so happy to see me. She's so happy to be out, for me to be home, and I'm I gotta do this for a couple days, and then I'm gonna get I left Jalen with her dad, and I'm like, I'm hustling I'm gonna make a bag in a week.
Yeah.
What I thought. And I'm gonna get an apartment, I'm gonna do all this. Well, I ended up getting out, did all that. I started making money, started doing that. My son, while I was in jail, my son is probably at this time 18. He starts selling dope.
Oh no.
Yeah, he got my phone and started
Oh, he took your phone.
Oh, yeah. So when I was in jail, I kind of heard a little bit about it. My daughter was upset, and this honestly crushed me. I was like, no, we can't do that.
Yeah.
Before that, the kid was boxing, and he won the golden, not the silver mittens, and he was doing so good in his life, and he has such a positive look to, I didn't want that for him,
right.
And I was just it really broke my heart. And when I got home, he was making crazy money, and I'm just dude, I know you think you're Pablo Escobar, but no, I want my phone back. You know what I mean? But it was bad. It was bad, but it was good.
What do you think about people who would look at this situation and be like, well, mom and son are selling drugs and shit?
Oh, it was horrible. Yeah, I hated it. So I know people judged me my whole life.
Right.
Judged our family. We were if you didn't know us, you thought we were losers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we had so many friends, so many people that knew us that we never had a problem. But I mean, people outside looking in, we looked bad. It was bad. Right. It was bad. Kid's 18 years old, has such a good life ahead of him, and he's doing this because he sees it from me.
Right.
And just to know he's trying to get the quick money I was getting. You know what I mean? And I'm not there to help him. So.
And was he looking up to his uncles and
and
shit like
that? Yeah. They're known in Florida.
Right.
And you know what I mean? A lot of people don't realize the younger half of my family are related because they have different last name, and they don't look like us.
Yeah.
They are Portuguese. They're full-blooded Portuguese. And us, we're Irish and Portuguese. So
you guys had a different steel about you. I feel like you're you guys are a little bit more tough than the kids were. I don't know.
Oh yeah. But I'll tell you something right now. The younger ones, they are the same way. They did not even with me when they all lived together. I'd be like, who did this? And they'd be like, I don't know. I swear, Boo was screaming "Stitches get snitches" since he was a toddler. That was his first words. Literally, my uncles got arrested one time, and Boo Boo was 8 years old and went outside, and my uncle was getting roughed up by the cops and beat the cop up with a curtain rod.
Yeah.
At 8 years old, to the point the cop was like, "Go get your mother." You're I'm gonna kick your ass. Go get your mother.
Yeah.
I almost got charged. My mother was charge him. He's just worried about his uncle. But it was just shit like that. We were, that's how it went. Now I just lost myself.
It happens.
But anyway, so I went to jail. I got out. I'm doing my thing. I told my son, I'm like, Blake, you can't do this shit. And then it just honestly, I was just whatever. You know what I mean? I just fell back. I'm I can't make him stop. And then who am I to be the hypocrite that's telling this kid not to do it? You know what I mean?
Right.
And I'm still doing it. You know what I mean? So now Blake is, where he's doing, I let him have whatever, because we fought over the phone for a few days. And then
you guys fought over the phone.
He didn't want to give it back. And then, but I have my people anyway, whatever. And
how long did you last out there selling drugs before anything happened?
I got out of jail I got out of jail February 5th.
Mm-hmm.
By March 23rd, I had a trafficking case.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Was it all detective, like?
Oh yeah.
All that stuff.
It
all
was
done.
It was a CI. It was like that.
Yeah.
So that couple of weeks that I was out, I made a killing. Like I really hustled. I needed an apartment. I needed to get my shit together. I knew my kids live with their father. Blake is selling drugs at this point. Like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
I was out. I mean, I was away, and then I come home to all this shit. So I get an apartment. Me and Blake, we're gonna get an apartment together. He's gonna move in with me, obviously. Jalen's gonna move back in when we get it all straightened up. It was somebody that we knew that we were renting the apartment from. So anyway, we're moving in. I meet this other guy, and he's a plug, and he starts he knows me. He knows of me. I didn't know him, but I knew of him. He knew of me. And we were just like, let's get money together. You know what I mean? Like, let's do this. Like, and now I don't got to drive to Rhode Island. You know what I mean? Like, I don't got to take that risk. He has it all the time. And so anyway, we were making crazy money. And that apartment was we were bagging everything up in that apartment. We weren't we just started moving in. We didn't even move in before it got raided. Like, we were still fixing it up. It was still looked like a trap house because it had no furniture yet. Like, we didn't sleep there yet, Nobody knew we lived there. It was just like a crazy situation. So that day, he went to go cop, and I was waiting back for him. Now, when I got out, they put me in OCC and stuff. So I was going to OCC during the day.
That's the day drug program thing? Yeah.
The correctional.
Yeah.
That was my way of getting out again.
Right.
I did that, and I was doing that at the time. So I was going there all day and, getting out and then doing my shit at night. So one day he went to go cop, and he left. I had mad people waiting for me. So I'm calling him like, bro, you need to hurry up. Like, this is crazy. I don't know what you're doing. But anyway, he came. We started bagging it up real quick. And I had this girl, Jamie, she was an addict, and I used to pay her to bag up for me because I was in OCC, and OCC had tested me and said that I had heroin in my system, and I didn't use heroin. So I was like, there's no way, you know what I mean? But it was from me bagging up. So I ended up having the girl bag up for me.
It's crazy how that happens.
Yeah. But it was very they test the levels there. So they were like, you're not doing enough to get high. So what are you doing? You know what I mean? Right. Think about what you're doing and stop doing it. Basically they let me go with that. And they were like, if your levels go down in the next couple of days, we won't violate you. You know what I mean? Right. We'll see.
And whatever. You always see those big drug dealers that bag up a lot of shit. They're wearing gloves. Yeah. Like, probably unnecessary, but it isn't.
No, it isn't. No, it definitely isn't. I definitely had heroin in my system. So I had the girl bag it up for me. We're bagging up, and her and her boyfriend were both addicts. Her boyfriend was a mechanic. So they went to go look at a car. Her boyfriend and the guy that I was talking to went to go look at a car. They left together. He called me and was like, we were just sitting on a mirror that I was bought for the wall, and it was on top of a Home Depot bucket. We're sitting there on buckets, and we're bagging up. I'm not bagging. I'm just watching her, making sure she don't steal, So I'm like, hurry up, Jamie. I got so many people. Just give it to me, Hurry up. I have a mask on. She's got a mask. Well, I have a mask on, gloves, So he texts me, and he's like, there's cops outside. So I was like, what do you mean? They're not for us. And if it's regular cops, who cares? It's probably something going on. So her boyfriend texted her the same thing, and we were she looked at me and she was like, what do you think? And I was like, no, we're good. Nobody knows we live here. Yeah. And then we just continue, and they're texting and they're like, oh, hello, did you hear that I said there's cops outside, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, whatever, it's probably nothing. Texting back. All of a sudden I hear a knock at the door. So I'm like, who the fuck is this right now? We're in the side bedroom. I go open the door, and I was like, who is it? And I didn't hear nothing. I'm like, who is it? They kicked the door in. And I'm standing there with gloves on, a mask on. There's a fucking 150 grams on the table.
Damn.
They come in, they raid me, and at first I thought they were there to rob us. You know what I mean? Right. I was like, because if, plain clothes cops come in, you're like, who the fuck are you? Right. And then I was like, oh, okay, that's who you are. So anyway, I get arrested. Now I'm pretty much fucked. I had $10,000 in cash in the house. We had all that dope paraphernalia. It was baggies, scales, blenders, like cut all of it. It
Plus
was
whatever
all
investigation that they did prior to that.
right.
Yeah. The
Buys,
evidence
all
stacked
that.
up. Yeah.
So I get arrested. Jamie gets arrested, and then Jamie's like a citizen. Like she gets high and stuff, but she doesn't get arrested. She doesn't know. So I'm like, oh my god, this girl's she's telling on us.
Yeah.
So the whole time at the police station, I'm like, Jamie, listen, this had nothing to do with you. They're not going to charge you. This was for me. It was not for you. So whatever they ask you, like I'm schooling her, trying to make her real. It's not for you. It's me. I'm getting charged. By the end of the night, we were both charged.
Yeah.
Poor girl ended up in jail, and my bail that night was like $40,000, and hers was like $20,000. And because she wouldn't say anything, and she was solid.
Yeah.
So we get arrested. Whatever. I go to court the next morning, and the court-appointed lawyer walks in, was like, "You're not getting out today. I hope you know that." And I'm like, "What? What do you mean? Like, why?"
Yeah.
He's like, "Girl, you just got caught with a lot of stuff. Like, you are not getting out." So they ended up holding me dangerous. They held, they do the whole thing. They hold you dangerous in county. No bail. So, no, they had $100,000 bail on me.
Oh,
so
damn.
they held me dangerous with $100,000 bail. So I couldn't bail out even if I had $100,000. But I'm being held with that. They waited to be indicted. I got held in Superior for another 190 days. So that couldn't get out still, even if I had my friend, the guy that I was with, he ended up getting me a lawyer. He got me Joe Krowski as a lawyer, and he was a really good lawyer.
Yeah.
He paid a lot of money for him. So I'm in Dartmouth 6 months. I got to do my violation for probation now. I just violated probation again.
Right.
So I do my probation time. I'm there for like 6 months. My lawyer gets my bail dropped to $5,000 after the dangerous hearing. I get bailed out. I go home, and I did the same shit. Same fucking shit. Like, it doesn't, you know what I mean? So
why though? Why would you keep doing it?
Because I had no money. I had nothing to come home to. You know what I mean? Like, I came home. The dude my plug, the guy that I was talking to, like, he bailed me out. He was still doing his shit, and I just didn't have the support. All my family was addicts. Louis passed away at this point, but was in jail. Sean is trying to get his life together, but he's flip-flopping, you know what I mean? Sean was coming back from living in North Reading, coming back to Florida every morning to get dope, and then going back to Boston to work, because he's trying to change his life, but it's not easy,
Yeah.
And at that point, he had met his wife and all that, so he was trying. So, and he was still coming all the way to Fall River, living in Lawrence, basically. You come all the way to Fall River to get dope. Like, you're a retard. But he didn't know. That's what he knew. So he'd be calling me at 5 a.m, I'm coming, and I'm like, oh, here we go. So I get out, move back into that apartment because my son still lives there. My kid, we still had that apartment.
How long did you end up doing day for day? Like?
Well, it gets to that. I ended up taking a plea. I took 3.5 to 4 for that time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which was a good plea. 3.5 to 4 for 150 grams was a good deal. We paid a lot for that lawyer, but it was a good deal, and I took it. So I do that time. I had some time in because he got me my time served. You know the deal.
What's the process on this bid now? You go. This is state time. You got
this
right.
Is state time, but I was out for like 2 years. Before I ended up taking the plea. So in the meantime, I'm still doing my shit and
kind of preparing for your bid. Yeah.
So now my son is still doing his stuff, and I'm over here getting it for him. Like, he's calling me, Mom, can you get me? I need this. I need that. And like, I'm noticing like my kid is stressed out a lot. Blake always had like anger problems like his whole life, even as a little kid. But he was a wicked good kid. He always, he was a good kid. Everybody liked him. He boxed at the PAL. You know what I mean? Like, he was a good kid.
Where is he now? If you don't mind.
I'm getting to that. Anyway, so I was home now. I'm still doing my stupid shit, and I would shut my phone off at 8 o'clock every night because people would drive me nuts, and I'm not doing that after a certain time. So I'm sleeping, my phone's off, and my daughter's blowing me up, and I'm just like, why is this kid calling me at 2 o'clock in the morning? You know what I mean? I'm sleeping. So I didn't answer the phone, and I don't even remember if I even saw it or not, but anyway, she knocked on the door, and the guy that I was with was like, he woke me up and was like, Jamie, your daughter's here. Bree's here. So I'm like, why? You know what I mean? He's like, I don't know, but get up. Something's wrong. So I'm like, what happened? I'm like, Bree, what's the matter? And she's bawling her eyes out. And she was like, I don't know, Mom. But the police just called me. Blake got shot and he is in the hospital. We need to get to the hospital. Jeez. So I was just like, I wasn't comprehending that very well. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, and I knew Blake was like, had a gun all the time. He used to make me nervous. I'm out on $10,000 bail right now. You can't bring a gun in here. Like, yeah, you know what I mean? This house is liable to get raided at any time. And you know what I mean? I already have a big case.
That's a Fed case too.
So we went to the hospital and Blake had passed away and he was at a party with his friends and he had been drinking a lot lately. So I was noticing like he was drinking every day, partying. He had a friend that he hung out at. And I'm just like, you know, I started to talk to him like you drinking a lot, you know, like you need to chill. Like he was to the point where he was like shaky and his friend had passed away the year before, got into a bad car accident. And this is a kid that was like his best friend since he was a child. Like they were best friends, you know, and Blake took it really hard. And so it was like a year of that, you know what I mean? Dealing with that. Like he was a barber. Joanne was a barber and Blake, he cut Blake's hair since he was a little kid. Blake wouldn't get a haircut for, you know, weeks. And it's like, dude, you need a haircut. You're like, Joanne's not here. Like you need a haircut. It was a bad year. Then that shit happened with me and I get arrested. I'm in jail. He's doing this stupid shit. And then that happened. He's at a party at his friend's house and they were listening to rap music, singing. Blake had his gun. He always had a gun. And the kid said that they were just, it was the end of the night. It was like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. They were all sitting around the couch. Just the music was still playing low and they were just chilling. Blake was at the end of the couch and the kid said, all I saw was Blake's hand go up and then we heard a pop and Blake just fell over. And it was just like, what? Like,
what the fuck?
So we'll never know. Like, he never was suicidal. He never, like, he was angry a lot. Like I said, he was sad about his friend dying, but he was a popular kid. He always had girls around. You know what I mean? There was no things besides what we thought was normal. Looking in, it's not normal. You know, the normal things going on. It was normal for us, you know, and there was nothing that stood out that for Blake to do that. And I, like, to this day, we don't know. We don't know what happened. Like, did he do it by accident? He was drunk. He was intoxicated. So, and the kid said he was doing it all night. He's like, they all did it. You know what I mean? Listen to music, pointing the guns at each other, you know, and just being idiots.
High.
It was, yeah, high.
High pointing guns at each other. Sounds like a bad idea. Yeah.
I never knew, like, I'll never know what really happened, you know? So that happened. We had a funeral for Blake, and that was huge. Like, that started, like, a lot of shit for me. That whole funeral, I barely remember it. Yeah. Because I was just like, I'm getting fucked up, you know? Yeah. And I don't care who likes it. You know what I mean? And
can I ask you a question? And I'm like, I understand this has got to be fucking tough to talk about, but obviously you're going through a shitload of things in your life, right? Like nothing seems good up until this point. And I know how that feels. Like you have nothing, and everything seems to keep on going worse and worse and worse. And what does this do to you? Like, other than make you want to get high? Do you ever see any light or anything changing? Anything? Like, how do you see your way out of something like that?
There would have been no way out of it. You know what I mean? If things didn't happen the way they did, I probably, like, it would have been a lot. It would have been bad. It would have been a lot worse because I was at that point where I did not give a shit anymore. Like, I didn't care. The guy that I was dating, he basically made all the arrangements for my kid. My kid's father was in jail during the time that Blake passed away, so he wasn't there to help me. You know what I mean? And honestly, he lucked out, to be honest. Like, I'm glad I was there for my kid, but like, and there for my other two, but he had it easy because he didn't have to deal with this shit, you know? Like, we had to come up with money now, like, and I'm just getting out of jail, like, just getting my shit back together. I'm trying not to be too out there, like, making money, because you know how that goes. Yeah. So now I got this case open. Blake's passed away, and I'm like, I got to get out of this apartment. Like, we can't live here anymore. Yeah. So we move, and that was like a huge thing. Like it made things better. Jalen came back to live with me, and like things were good. I was still doing my shit, and now at this point, like I'm like getting high. Like I'm just doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And like and I didn't care. And so I'm selling drugs to basically, I know people are following me. I know the detectives know what I'm doing. People are telling me they're getting pulled over when they leave me. Like it was crazy shit. And I didn't care. Like I knew, I saw them. They were literally waving at me. And I was just like, hey, act like neighbors and shit. And I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, what are you doing on a dead end street, bro? Like, who are you? So, it was just so bad that you don't care. You get to that point where you don't have a choice. You have to keep doing this because you have to keep feeding that.
Right.
Like, I have to be okay. I can't be sick. I have to get up for my kid for school. I have to like be okay for Bree and Jalen now that they're going through a lot. Like Brianna and Jalen and Blake were really close in age. They were the same age for 2 weeks. And she took it hard. Like, like with me, with my brother, that was probably one of the biggest losses in my life was my brother. It was one of the first ones, and then my son, but so Bree took it really hard, and she's like on her own, and she has an apartment. She lives with her boyfriend and stuff, but she's sick of this life, so me and her had it out a few times, and she basically told me where to go and how to get there, and like, and let me know like how she felt. So now I'm going through court for this new case. I'm still doing whatever I'm doing. I get the case is coming to an end. Like they're making, arrangements for me to take my plea, and then it's coming down to I'm gonna have to turn myself in. So I'm still doing whatever I'm trying to build up as much money as I can to take with me to make sure I'm good, make sure my kid's good while I'm gone. I'm about to go do 3.5 to 4 years, That's a stretch. I've never been to Framingham at this point. So I such a dumbass. I was out doing what I'm doing. Cops pulled me over. They saw me make a play. I had everything on me. I had like mad shit on me. I get arrested. And now I'm like, they're revoking my bail. Like they're not letting me out.
No.
Like they know, So I
Did you kind of feel relieved in any way?
No.
Or were you scared?
No, not that. I was like, fuck, now I'm going to jail. I knew like the next week I was turning myself in anyway, but I was building myself up for that. Right. I was getting ready. Like, I thought I was, but nope. So
getting arrested is never convenient.
No. So I get arrested again, distributed. It wasn't enough for trafficking, but it was distributed. So this is like my third drug charge at this point. So I'm like, I'm fucked,
And you're already facing that 3.5 to 4, right?
And like I'm already out on a trafficking of, I'm fucked. Yeah. So I go to the police station. They're like, yeah, you're going to jail. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, oh, well, I am anyway. So they give me a bail that night, which is crazy. They never have given me bail, but they gave me like a $3,000 bail. Damn. So I got out, and I'm like, I bailed out that night. But I had to go to court in the morning. I know once I walk into court, they're revoking that shit too. Yeah. But it was good just to get out and I could explain to Jalen like what, was going to happen tomorrow. Yeah. And, so I go to court and that's it. I go to Dartmouth again.
Did you strap up before you go?
No. Cause I was just like, whatever. At this point I'm going,
it's kind of different than what usually people do. Cause usually the drug dealers, they know they're going and they're going. Yeah. You know what I mean?
The girls, honestly, with girls, I feel like as soon as something comes in the unit and another girl finds out, it's over. Like it lasts maybe 2 hours and then they're caught because it's like, these girls don't like nobody minds their business. First of all, they all want to know what's going on. And second of all, like somebody is always, the girls are so like petty and conniving and like bitter and like you got something you ain't sharing, I'm telling. You know what I mean? Shit. Like that's how it is.
Yeah.
You share with me, I'll be quiet. But until I'm done, until I'm out, and then I want more.
Hush money, basically.
Right. And that's how it's like blackmailing. Like it's like, wow, like and it's okay. That's but that's how it is in the state and women, like
I can't wait to talk about Framingham. We'll get to that.
So anyway, I go to jail. Now I'm doing 3.5 to 4 now. Okay. I'm still got an open distributing case now because I just picked that up.
Yep.
So I have to go to court from Framingham. I ended up getting like 18 months for that to run concurrent with my
Okay,
current
good.
child, which was cool. I was like happy with that. They just want to rack up them
the convictions.
Yep. You know how it is. So I go to Framingham now. Now Framingham was another whole fucking story because it's huge.
Yeah.
You walk in there and it's just like you've heard all the stories. You know, I'm a girl. Like I pretty much can handle myself. You know, I've never had a problem fitting in anywhere I've ever been in my life. You know, but I go in there and I'm just like, wow, this is crazy. I don't know nobody here. Like it's not familiar. When I went into Dartmouth, the COs knew me. You know, and I didn't even know them. They knew me. You know, the people in I walked on the unit, people were like giving me stuff. Oh, you're Noble. I know your brothers, you know? And I'm like, they didn't know like me so much because, you know, I always stood out of the bullshit until they ended. I was like 35 years old. I'm in jail right now. For the drug charge, you know?
Yeah.
And I started doing drugs, you know?
Yeah. You made it a while.
Nobody really even knew I did drugs, to be honest. Like if anybody ever asked you, if you ever asked anybody in Florida, they'd probably say no, you know? It probably would. I never admitted it. I never like thought it was, you know, I didn't shoot up. I didn't do that. So I thought I was okay. You know, and I didn't do drugs. Those are not hard drugs. If you're not shooting them, you know.
Heroin's a little easier to hide, I feel like, than coke.
It is because then I would take an Adderall and I'd be up and fine. You know what I mean? Like, so, but, so I go to Framingham, and Framingham was like, it was crazy. You know what I mean? Like I started to find out, like I walked on the unit. It was just, I didn't know nobody. The COs were rude and mean as hell. It's like they weren't giving you no direction.
Right. How big are these units?
So there's like a bunch of different buildings. There's like a newer building, but then there's like the old building, like they call it the old administration building. And it's like falling apart. It's like, I don't even know how it's not condemned, but like the ceiling's literally falling.
Yeah.
So like, and there in Dartmouth, there's no movement for the women in Dartmouth. You stay on your unit and you don't get off.
Right.
The guys have a little bit of movement, but you know, the women don't. The man's prison.
Yeah. So
Framingham, there's different, you know, there's different buildings for this, you know, medical's in this building. So I go out of administration.
Yeah. Or the
admissions
building.
Admissions. I get through admissions. It's like 2:00 in the morning. I'm nervous as hell. You know what I mean? But I always like had a way. I don't get like anxiety. Like I do more now, I think. But then I always like, even when I would get pulled over by cops, I'd have shit on me and I'd be so like calm and they wouldn't even search me and they would just like, all right, see you later. And I'd be like, oh, thank God. 50 grams on me. Like, you know, they never like, I would always stay calm and like, I would always talk my way. I always knew like to talk my way out of it, you know, to myself, like talk myself out of being nervous or something, whatever. So I go and I'm like, honestly, there's nothing you could do about it either. When you get to state prison, you're there. You like you deal with it and get over it.
Right.
And you know, be yourself, because if you start crying and whining, nobody's gonna like you. You're just gonna be like, get the fuck out of here. And you know, that's how it's gonna start for you. You know?
Yep.
So I go to the unit, I go into the cell, they tell me where to go. I go into this unit and it's like a dorm kind of, and there's a cell with like 10 bunks and it's 2 a.m. Everybody's sleeping. There's 2 bunk beds at the end, but there's like 2 like twin beds like lined up. So there's empty beds. He puts me on the top bunk in the corner. And I'm just like, wow, why couldn't I get one of these twin beds? You know what I mean? But because I'm the new person, why would they do that? You know what I mean? They're assholes. So I get up there, I'm waking up the girl on the bottom, you know, I'm like, I'm sorry. You know, I'm like, sorry. The next morning we all get up and I'm just like, I get up and I'm like, I don't know where the bathrooms are, because the bathrooms weren't in the cells over there. You just, you know, you're just getting there. So I didn't know where any of that shit was. Like, I didn't know you had to stand for count. Like, and the other girls are like, stand up. Like, they're coming, you know? And I'm like, who's coming? Like, what are you talking about? So I didn't know that. Dartmouth had count, but they did that shit while you were in your bed. They didn't bother you. You know, it comes to the window and they're like, whatever.
What are the other girls like? Is there like gangs there? Is it like no?
It's more like people know each other from their cities. It's nothing like the stories I've heard from like the guys. There's fights. Mostly the girls are fighting over other girls, like relationships.
Okay.
It's like a big Camp Cupcake. You know what I mean? Like that's what most of the drama is you touch this one's girlfriend, or
Right.
you were outside in the yard with that one's girl. It's like a big high school thing. And honestly, being there, I felt very immature and very childish.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I'm
It's almost like you're
daycare.
regressing.
Like
Yeah.
I have kids, and you've got like I'm hanging out with kids my kids' age, like because they're there and they're, you know.
Right.
So I do my time there, and COVID hits.
Wow. Yeah. Was there drugs there?
Well, they started doing the MAT program.
Okay,
and that's most the problem in Framingham is the MAT program.
Really?
People sharing like their own Suboxone.
Okay,
They give in methadone now, so that never was like that. I never, when I would go to jail, it was never, they never gave you that stuff, you know. But if you were pregnant, the girl, you know. But they didn't do that. You suffered, you know.
What were the COs kind of? I had another female guest at one point way back. They said that the COs were like very, you know, sexual towards the women that were there, and that
a bunch of like COs, you would hear stories all the time, and they were getting walked off because I feel like you're in a, you know, you've been to jail, so it's like you're there and you don't have many people. You have your family, you're calling home, but you don't have that one person that's there for you. And so as soon as you find somebody, you kind of like latch on to that. You know what I mean? So like you have an ex that called you couldn't stand her on the street, but now she's talking to you and you're like, oh, I love you. You know, we're getting married.
Right.
Even though you probably feel it and you mean it at that point, but you know, when you get home,
you guys didn't work the first time. It's not going to work the second or the third.
Yeah. So I'm just like, I'm doing my time, and like COs do definitely take advantage of that.
Really?
Yeah. I've seen COs like walking into girls' cells with the door closed behind them, and I'm like,
what the fuck?
Huh? What's happening? Or they'll come out like 20 minutes later. It's like, is this on camera? Like, but it's like, whoa. And then it's like a big gossip ring. Did you see this CO come out of that one's room? And then this one's telling this one that, you know, and then Ips is calling us all down to question everybody, you know. The big thing was the girlfriend situation. Priya is huge in Framingham. It's like, bro, it's so like, okay, that I don't know. But
did you have a girlfriend there?
No, but I did have friends. I didn't have any sex or anything like that. No good war stories. But I was definitely lookouts for people. And like definitely had code words. Like COs coming, like, you know, get out of that shower. But so like, and like the COs in Framingham, like in that Brewster, the first unit I went to, the showers are just like a long hallway, and there's just a row of showers, and they're all curtains, like, but it's like, it's such an old building that like it's just old, and they like tried to modernize it at one point. So they have like a bunch of guys
watching right now, like, ooh, they all shower together, like
the girls walking out of the showers, and everybody's butt ass naked. There's chairs like there for your stuff, and everybody's just getting dressed there. But the thing with the COs, when they're doing rounds, they walk right into those showers.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Damn.
They act like they're not looking, but how can you not look when there's a girl standing there naked and her tits are out, and like you're just walking by? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they would announce CO coming through, but it's like, and then they come. You know, it's like, oh, okay. Hi, you know? Even like when they're doing rounds and you're in your cell, like so many times I'm getting out of the shower, and I'm in my cells changing. You know, the lieutenant comes on the unit at once every shift to do a round. And it was a captain, actually. He came through, and they just go through. The CO's there. They just go through, whatever. I'm in my room. I had the lights off. I'm facing the window, and I had my mirror like on the windowsill, so I can see the door behind me.
Yeah.
And I'm facing that way. I'm drying off. I'm getting dressed. I look in the mirror, like I saw something in the mirror. I saw his flashlight. And it came back. And I'm like, what the hell? But I wasn't facing him, so he didn't think I had the mirror there.
Yeah.
And I could see him in the mirror, like just standing there. And I'm like,
grilling you.
Like, bro, what are you? I turned around and he bounced.
Yeah.
But I'm like, really?
Yeah.
And like some of the girls will like cover half their window with like a paper and a tape. Just that kind of gives a signal that I'm changing.
Something's happening.
I'm changing. I just got out of the shower, whatever. And they'd only do half the window, so they could still look if they need to.
Yeah.
People were getting D reports for doing that. You can't flag your window. It's like, come on.
Yeah,
like,
it's funny. Like they want to see it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Like unless you're getting women on the unit. What's the problem with that? But they're just assholes about everything. Like, I think like the men stick up for themselves more. Women just tend to like let it go and like, okay, you know.
Right.
When the men, I feel like they're like a unit. They're together. The COs don't bother them because they do what they got to do. But these girls are always at the CO desk.
Yeah.
They're always down there talking to them. Always need something.
Yeah,
They always need toilet paper. They always need, you know, tampons. And it's like, bro. And the guys are like, the COs are like, leave me the fuck alone. Get the fuck away from my desk.
There's definitely some differences that I've noticed. Just
because I already know that guys won't go sit and talk to the CO.
Nah, Jeff, and I think that a lot of things like with the guys, it's like a lot of
bootlicking.
yeah. You don't want to be like the odd man now. You know what I mean? Especially guys, you'll definitely get jumped on.
Yeah. With the what are you talking to a CO for that long for? Right, what do you have to talk to about? Unless you're telling on somebody, there's no reason for you to be there. You know. And like they have friend. They're not like at the end of the day, they have a job to do and they're going to do it.
They're taking everything you say, and I've seen
and they're writing in that little book.
They have a thing on the computer in the Macs. It's got a checklist of all these things. Do they talk to this person? Are they influential on the unit? Do they have people giving them stuff? Like they have all these questions that you would never think that they would be like just checking off these questions, but like they do. They're checking them off. They watch for who the block leaders are, like who's got influence, who's doing this.
I don't think there's a lot of that in Framingham because there's not a lot of leaders. There's not. They already know who, like the people that the lifers. They're the ones that kind of like run shit because they've been there all these years. They know the COs. They, you know what I mean?
It's crazy because you never really think of female lifers like that, but they have them obviously.
Oh yeah, and there's a bunch from Fall River. There's I was like, damn, there's a lot of female murderers from Fall River, and they like killed their husbands and shit. I'm like, damn, okay, but
Black widows.
I'm like, they all come from Fall River. I'm like, well, right.
Yeah, you heard that, guys. Be careful with your Fall River.
Yeah, right. When he's written, don't mess with him.
Yeah. So how long do you end up doing in there? Like,
so I did my time. I did the 3.5 to 4. I got out, and I got denied parole. I got denied pre-release, all that shit. I don't really know why. I didn't know why then because I thought like I didn't get tickets. I went to the minimum, but like, and it was like slap minimum / pre-release for women. But I couldn't go out to work because I had a mandatory sentence. So
I was gonna ask you, do they have like other facilities for women, like not just Framingham Max or whatever? They have medium, minimum.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Okay,
the first time I was there, it was like right across the street from Framingham, but they ended up closing that building down, and now they have a new women's pre-release.
Okay.
That's how I ended up in Lowell this time. But so I get out and I applied. I went for parole. I got denied parole. And I say it now, like I would have loved to read that parole packet, how I filled that shit out. Like I probably blamed it all on the cop. The cops weren't minding their own business, and if people weren't telling, and you know what I mean? Like I can imagine what I wrote.
Straight up dodging all the responsibility.
All the responsibility. Like it wasn't my fault. And you know what I mean? Like people are snitches, and that, people don't mind their own damn business.
If it wasn't for fucking rats, I wouldn't even be here. Let me go home.
To take care of. That was my whole plot. Like that was my whole thing. Even though now there was lots of things I could have did.
Right.
But anyway, so I get out. I start hustling again because I was going to get a job. That was my whole plan. I'm like, I'm not doing this shit no more. Like my kids are getting older. Blake's gone now. The girls need me. Like, my mom's kids are older now. They're all on their own and they're like doing their own thing. And it's just like, now my daughter's raising my daughter.
Right.
And it's just like, I know the pressure that I went through, but I had to do what I had to do. And she had to do what she had to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She wouldn't have had it any other way, but it's not fair to her. You know what I mean? And it's just a cycle, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like from my codependency with my mother, she has it with me. I see it, you know what I mean? Both of them. And now that I'm aware of it, I can point it out, no problem, you know?
Yeah.
Because if I didn't have that, I never would have went for a relationship where like it was okay for somebody to sell drugs. Like it, and that's how it all started. It's not his fault. It was my own fault for letting these things happen to me. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't have the tools to make better decisions back then. That's what I thought was right. I thought that I was a good person. You know what I mean? I was taking care of all these kids. Like I'm selling drugs. I'm doing what I'm doing, but like I'm at all these games for these kids. Like I did a lot. It was a lot,
Until you talk to somebody who's never seen this before, or never been through it before, you think it's absolutely normal. Like, and you
Mhm.
might be you're thinking you're a better person than most of these people.
Right.
They're all shooting
And I was in
needles and
such
shit.
denial that like I thought that I was the best mother.
Yeah.
And I really felt like it. And when I got sentenced, you know how the lawyer will say things about you like that are good about you. And the judge said, Miss Nobles, just so you know, I don't think there's anything admirable, anything that lawyer just said about you.
Really?
And I was just like,
damn.
I was like, wow, that stung. Like, I always like thought I was like a good person. Like, what is this guy saying this shit about me? You know what I mean? And then that bothered me. Like, like it still sticks out. That was like my first bid, and that still sticks out to me that this asshole said this shit.
It's definitely something you don't forget.
Right. And so I was just like, that stung. Like, so I did my time. I got out. I started, you know, I had every intention on doing the right things. I got out and I was gonna work at McDonald's. It didn't matter. But I got out and I didn't have any of those things in mind. Not only that, when I made the decision when I got out that I was gonna smoke a blunt as soon as I got out. Like, and it didn't matter. I need that. Bring it when you come. And it had been all that time, but I didn't need that shit.
Yeah.
I had been clean and sober all that time. Like I hadn't did nothing in jail or anything like that. Like, but I'm like,
why do you think you were thinking like that though?
Because I was so unaware of my own addiction, my own like shit. And I never took responsibility at that point. Like I blamed it on everything else. I just had a bad life. You know, my mom was a single mother. I was the oldest of 11. My brothers are in and out of jail. They fighting, doing drugs. My brother died. My sons passed away. And I blamed it all on that. And that was my reasoning for all of that shit. And it was all bullshit. You know what I mean? It was me bullshitting myself because nobody else cared and nobody else fell for it. But so I got out. I started selling drugs again. And again, I knew they were watching me. I knew it. They pulled me over maybe 3 times before they actually raided me. And basically was like searching me and shit. And they never found it because, like I said, I was pretty confident, you know. But who knows? They probably just said, oh, you know what? We're going to get her something bigger, whatever. So I doing my thing. You know, I'm making killing. Like I was making so much money at this point, this time. And I got out in June. I got out in October. All winter, like I'm hustling. I'm making a killing. Like me and my kid are fighting because now she's 16. She's like, I'm trying to be away from her because I don't want to bring this shit around her. So I'm just like paying her to go off with her friends. Like I'm giving this kid hundreds a day just to get out of here. You know, get out of my hair, which wasn't fair, but it was my way of making her happy. And the guilt that I felt, I gave her everything because like I couldn't be the mother that I should have been for her. You know what I mean? She had everything. She had sneakers, she had shoes, she had clothes, she had food, she had, you know, she had, but she never had a mother. You know what I mean? She never had a mother or a father and it, you know, we had our shit. So
you guys, she's obviously, you still talk to her?
Oh yeah.
How's she doing today?
She's awesome. They're both of them are doing so much better. It's been 7 years now since Blake passed away, and it's obviously not going to get any easier.
Yeah.
We just learn how to deal with it every day. You know, it took a big toll on my oldest daughter, so I ended up coming out. I doing my shit again. I get arrested again. I got bagged. Now I was in a hotel at one point. I got the door kicked in at 5 o'clock in the morning. I had this stuff on me. They searched the home, didn't find it. So we got away with that. And I was just like, I thought like, I'm traveling out of a hotel. That's like, obviously the cops know. They know everybody does that shit, you know? So I already knew that they were like in, you know, they're around me. I could feel it, you know, but I was getting high again. And at that time I started to do it because I talked myself right into it. Yeah. And like your brain is like until you realize how to deal with those things, like I literally remember the whole conversation I had with myself. I talked myself right into it. Just this one time.
It's a process.
And no matter what, once I do things, once I think about it, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And nobody's talking me out of it. Nobody's talking me out of it, and I'm talking myself into it. And I'm gonna rationalize all the reasons why I should do it.
Right.
You know, and it's only gonna be one time, and it wasn't.
It's so crazy. It's dangerous when that happens. I feel the same way. As soon as I start thinking about it.
When people say there's never one time, there literally isn't. Like it's real shit. Like I remember the whole conversation I had with myself. Like I literally rationalized it. And my daughters had gotten, it was Thanksgiving. I'd just gotten out in October. My daughters got into a big beef with each other on Thanksgiving at my brother's house. Fist fight, like straight up fist fight. And now that I think back of it, I feel like I was high that day. They both knew it. And I feel like they were both irritated because of that. You know what I mean? And it was. The fight was between them, but they were in bad mood. My daughter had already said to me, "What's wrong with you?" You know what I mean? And I was like, "I'm not. I'm fine." Like what? And I had just gotten home, so they knew. You know. So anyway, we go. I'm selling drugs. I'm doing whatever. This last time I got caught, and I got caught with 50 grams, 48 grams, which isn't that much. I mean,
more than an ounce.
Yeah, and so I got arrested again, and now 50 grams, 48 grams. This is like my third time, second trafficking charge. It's over 10 grams. I'm going upstate. So I get held without bail. I get held dangerous, fentanyl. I get held dangerous, all that shit. I'm in jail. Now I walk into Dartmouth, and I was just there not that long ago. So some people are still there that I was there with. And I'm just like, this is crazy. Like, I'm fucking, I can't even believe I'm back here again. So I go, when I walked in, everybody's like, oh, look who's here, Jamie. Oh my God, King, Queen of the South, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, I don't want that for myself. You know what I mean? And I don't want to be known as Jamie Nobles, the drug dealer. You know what I mean? Like when the first time I went to jail, my daughter had to argue with Turtle Boy because he made this big story about me. You know what I mean? And she's on there going in on him because of me. They're riders. Like no matter what, they got my back. And nobody's going to mess with me. You know what I mean? Yeah. They can say whatever they want, but nobody else can. Anyway, so my daughter got into it with him. And she wrote him a email, and he actually took the story down. Which I was like, wow.
Who is this? You talking about
Turtle Boy? You've never heard of Turtle Boy? Oh my God. He does stories about everybody, and he's actually in the Karen Reed shit now.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. He used to be like the guy who was on Facebook and had everybody's bullshit on Facebook. Oh, this one's selling food stamps, and this one's buying, somebody would put on foods on Facebook, and then he would clown them, and or like he'd get a hold of a video and he would clown the shit out of you.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm never gonna go on Turtle Boy. That guy ever puts me on there. So I had a friend who her daughter had gotten into a fight, and she went there and she was like watching the whole thing, making sure nobody jumped in and shit. So he was like Mother of the Year, letting her daughter get into a fight. She kept tagging me in this stuff, and I was like, stop tagging me in Turtle Boy shit. Yeah. If this guy runs my name, we're all fucked. Like he's clowning the shit out of me. Like I don't want to be on Turtle Boy. So I get arrested again. I go to jail. Now this time, the first time I had the guy that I was with, he sent me money. You know what I mean? He made sure I was good in jail. This time, I don't have him. Like, and I would never ask my kids for money. My brothers are, Sean's doing great at this point. He's changed his life. Me and him haven't really even talked because I don't want to hear his NA bullshit while I'm out selling drugs. You know what I mean? Right. And I didn't want to bring it around him either. You know what I mean? Like I wanted to support him, but I couldn't even help myself, Sean ended up getting into a really bad accident right before I went to jail. Right before I'd gotten raided this time. And he really almost lost his life. Like he was like, he had to have a lot of surgeries. He couldn't walk for like a year. He was in a wheelchair. He had to put ramps on his house. It was like a crazy thing. And I think that, I don't know, I can't speak for him, but like, I think that's what really helped him. Yeah. That situation. Like he knew, like, I really need to get my life together. Like this is not the way to live. And like, Sean has been the most like inspirational person that I have in my life. The way he's showed up for me. So I went back to jail this time, and I didn't have anybody. Like I had a bail. Nobody was bailing me out, and I just got all my money taken by the cops. So like, I'm in Dartmouth. I'm still thinking I'm cool shit. People are giving me stuff. I'm Jamie Noble, Yeah. And I was just like already starting to feel like this. I'm getting too old for this shit. You know what I mean? At this point, I'm just like, whatever. I take my time. I just wanted to plead out because I'm like, I just got to get up to Framingham, fuck Dartmouth, Right. And so I pled out to 5 to 6. Damn. So
It's crazy how we do that, right? Take those big
And I was like, you know
just
what?
to get out of county.
I'll get out half my time, a good time, but like I had a Mando. Like, what was I thinking? You know?
Bro.
But I mean, it was the second time. Like, that was not a bad deal for my second time. It was only 48 grams this time, only 48 grams, considering what I could have gotten caught with. You know what I mean? I had to be thankful. Like, I got to Framingham, COVID started. We went through that shit. We were locked down 23 and a half hours a day. It was hard. Like, being in a cell with somebody all that time, like
especially like another female, you guys both go on your period together.
Right. We're using the bathroom in front of each other. Like, we have to shit in front of you, like, because we don't even get enough time for us to shit. Like, this is crazy, you know? I ended up getting COVID, it was another nightmare. They put us in the hole. When you got COVID, when you tested positive, they put you in the hole with none of your stuff. It was literally like you're being punished. And I was like, can I just get my property? Like, what the fuck? Like, I'm sitting here with a t-shirt and scrubs because you took my clothes, everything. Like,
for the first 14 days, right?
Yeah, you had to quarantine everything.
The quarantines, you can't even come out for rec, can you? Or like,
no,
you're alone or something like.
Dude, no, it was like 4 people out at a time, and you went in different schedules. So every day you got out at different time. We didn't know what time. We didn't know who was next. You know,
6 in the morning one day.
Yeah, and you're not making a phone call at 6 in the morning to call your kids. You know what I mean? Or 8 o'clock at night because you know, whatever. So it was tough. Like, and I started, like, I had a couple of people that ended up taking their pleas. When I got to Dartmouth the second time, my niece was there, and she had just gotten a drug trafficking charge, and she was only 20 years old. She got 6 to 13 years.
Jeez.
Yeah. So she's
that's in Massachusetts?
Young. Yeah.
That's a weird sentence, 6 to 13 years.
She had almost 400 grams of fentanyl.
Damn, she's lucky then.
Yeah, and she had a bunch of cash, and it was her first drug charge. She was young, you know what I mean? She was trying to take after me, I guess. But like,
crazy though. You look at the kids; they think
the kids were there, you know what I mean? And she I never brought my kids around that shit because I felt like they would tell their dad. It would be a big fight. But this girl, she's my friend. The house that we used to party at on Dover Street, it's her family. And like, we've known her mom, you know, since we were little kids, and she was right there with me doing shit. Like, I'd be like, come on, Montana, you want to come make a play with me? You know, and she'd be like, okay, you know, she didn't know, you know, she was a kid.
Yeah.
But, so she was right there with me, seeing me do all this shit. I never, you know, my kids, I wouldn't let them see it, but her, I could trust her, you know? So anyway, I go to Dartmouth and she's there. So I'm like, and I was in Framingham when she got arrested. So I was like, oh man, you know, I was upset about that. I'm like, this kid's in, you know, jail. She's about to go to jail for a while, you know?
Yeah.
And, so when I got arrested, she was still being held without bail in Framingham. In Dartmouth. So I went to Dartmouth. And when I got there, she was there and she was like, oh my God, Jamie, like, thank God you're here. Like, she was so nervous. And like, it was almost like relieving that she was there. It was like having my kid with me. Because like the whole time I was there for her. You know what I mean? Like, and her mother would hit me up and be like, make sure she's okay. We're so nervous. You know, we don't want her to, we're scared for her to go afraid. I'm like, she's going to be fine. She's going to find a girlfriend. She's going to be fine. You know? She's young, you know? So, and she did.
That's fine.
So I got sentenced. No, she got sentenced like 2 weeks before me. And she took the 6 to 13 years. And then I got sentenced. And I went up there like 2 weeks later. She was already up there. And like, I told her, make sure they send you the money ahead of time. Canteen's on Tuesday. So when you get there, you know, you'll have your money ready. You get your shit. So,
the game.
Right. Yeah. I go there. COVID starts. We're all there. She's there with me. Like, so we're like, cool. Like, you know, I have her. She's like, everybody knows us because we're a family, you know? And she's young and, you know, scared to be in jail too.
Right.
So I'm there with her. So they have the MAT program now. It's COVID. They're giving everybody, they're feeding us through the wickets. They're like giving their prescriptions through the wickets, not really looking in mouths or nothing like that. So my cellie she's keeping all of her meds. She's stacking up the Suboxones in the room. You know what I mean?
Oh, you guys, so they give you the Suboxones right in the cell?
Yeah, right through the wicket. Yeah.
Damn.
They don't even watch because it was COVID and they didn't care at this point. They weren't drug testing anybody. They weren't like, nobody was getting stripped, any random strips. They weren't doing that. They were like, there was nothing going on. There was no movement. There was, you know, nobody, our jobs were canceled, you know. COs were cooking our food. They were washing our clothes. It was like, it was crazy. They were so pissed. And I was like, good. They were bringing our food to the, they were literally in the kitchen preparing our food.
Yeah.
And bringing our food to the wickets and stuff. They hated us, right?
Earning that money for once.
Right. And I was like, oh, it sucks, right? You're used to having a little, you know, a runner in the unit do all the shit for you while you sit there, you know? So, it was tough. And, you know, we got through that. I went, so my cellie's getting Suboxones and she's like, do you want some? I'm like, fucking hell yeah, we're bored as hell in this cell. So I'm, you know, I'm taking Suboxone and there's no movement. Nobody's getting shipped out. I got signed off to go to pre-release, but they stopped all movement. So we're just waiting. You don't know when they're coming. So all of a sudden one day we wake up and they're like, they call me to the desk and they're like, pack your shit. You go on pre-release. And I'm like, what? They drug test you before you go to pre-release.
Oh no.
So I'm like, they're like, and be ready to pee. Like, you know, I'm like, all right. So I'm like, maybe there's some miracle, like I'll pass, you know, which I'm like, probably not because we're partying it up, you know? So I go back to my cell. I'm like, I tell my cell, I'm going to pre-release. She's like, I said, but I'm not going. She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, bro, I'm about to go to the hole, actually. She's like, I'm like, they're going to test me. She's like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah. She's like, flush right now. So I'm like, I literally have less than an hour. Fucking wait. No, it didn't work for me.
It didn't work.
So I go, I flushed. I was like, and I was like trying so hard to pee as many times. And she's like, you got to time it the right. She's a pro at this. I never had to do that shit. So I go down to admissions. I got my bag with me. I'm like, just hold my stuff because I'm coming right back, you know? So I go, they test me and they're like, bitch. Like the CO was like, girl, you're fucking dirty. And I'm like, the whole fucking jail's dirty at this point. Like everybody is dirty.
Like big surprise.
People that never did drugs are getting MAT because they're so bored, you know? So I didn't get to go to pre-release. So I went to the hole. And I'm like, now I'm in the hole. And I'm like, I'm such an idiot. Like, I have a big fucking sentence and I have a mandatory sentence again. And I'm like,
how far into it were you at this time?
This was like, I got there in 2018. So 20 was COVID started. This was like the end of the summer of 20. Like COVID was already going. They're just starting to fall back on some of the restrictions and stuff.
It's not even that far ago. Not even that
No,
long
we
ago,
had to. And then when they started opening the chow hall, you had to like skip a seat and the COs were driving us nuts. I was skipping seats. Like, bro, we're getting you're fucking bringing us COVID.
Yeah, they're the only ones that can bring
it. You're the ones that are bringing that. You're putting masks on around me. No, I need a mask around your ass. Like, and so I was just like, damn, I'm in the hole. And I'm thinking like, I just really fucking ruined everything. Like, Jamie, you're at this age, like, when are you gonna like, when is enough, you know? And I'm just like, I was so excited to go to pre-release. I wanted to get the fuck out of that jail so bad because of the COVID stuff. And I was hearing that at the pre-release, you weren't having to wear masks. And it was like, they were writing tickets if they saw your mask below your nose. It was just like the stupidest shit.
The inside behind the wall is always super stressful. Anytime you can get like a change of scenery, go to somewhere like that, just it gives you like a little breath of fresh air for a little while. It sembles of peace. So especially in the meeting when I went to the meeting.
You got the COs that are just such dickheads that it's like, bro, what is it? What do you care if I don't have my mask on? I'm not even near you. Like, but they'll be like talking shit, like, put the fucking mask on or go in, you know? Like, really? Anyway, so I'm like, shit, like, I'm really down on myself. And I'm like, you know, I'm not going to pre-release now. I'm like, fuck. So I go back to my unit. I get my shit. I'm like, now I got to earn pre-release again. I got to, like, you know, I can't. And I actually, when I was in the hole, I was like, I can easily go back and I can do the same shit. And I can do it. You know, I could sit there and think about, you know, how long I have to, you know, how many days it's going to be till I'm clean. And, you know, are they going to test me? Now I'm being drug tested because I got caught with the dirty. I'm paying them that fee.
So they charge you there too. Thing.
Yeah.
How much did they charge
if
you?
you get charged again? It's like $350 or $300.
Like, I think it was $285 for the first
one.
one.
$150, and then it doubles. You know, if you do it again.
Same shit.
I was just like, you know, I really need to stop doing this shit. Like, you know, so I go back to my unit and then I'm back with the same cellie. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing this shit no more. You know, she's asking me and I'm like, no, I'm good. And so me and her are really good friends. She understands it. She's like, you know, cool. I won't, you know, she doesn't offer me anymore. They're starting to get stricter because they know mad people are failing drug tests, you know. So they're COVID's starting to free up a little bit. They're like, you know, starting to get stricter with you know, with the mouth checks and shit. So they open up the med lines again. They're not giving meds at the door. Things are opening up again. So I go like 6 months and like, you know, you must have those fucking pathways and CRA and all that shit. You know what that is.
Yep.
In Framingham, they call it pathways. They don't call it CRA. They used to, but they changed it. It's still, what do you call it?
Drug program.
Yeah, it's still like a drug program, but
go home earlier. What are those people called? The
pathway teacher. Like
I never got to the CRA, but it was always in the mediums. They never had.
Yeah, but in Framingham, there's only one. So it's just all. And the pre-release is a whole different unit, you know, whole different building. But everybody's the same. You know, it's medium, but everybody's medium.
Yeah.
Even the like, you know, lifers and everything. But so I'm earning going back to pre-release. I get to go to pre-release. Now the women's pre-release just opened up in Billerica. At the Billerica Jail, Middlesex.
Yeah.
County. They opened up their men's pre-release that they had, and they have like a contract with the state to have a female there.
Okay, that's
so nice. It's nice. It's like a house basically that they redid, and like now I'm there. I can wear my own clothes.
Wow, yeah.
That was the most exciting thing. Like,
it's got to be a good feeling, huh?
Oh my god, it's the best. They had a refrigerator stocked with food. We never had to order canteen.
Get out of here.
They gave us like cosmetics when you first got there.
Yeah.
Like shit that they don't have on canteen, like, you know, conditions shit. They would get it and just give it to the females. Like they give you like a care package. It was weird. It was like a gift. I'm like, this is so weird. This is not jail. But
let me point something out real quick. Let me point something out because you basically, this is the first time in your life where you actually, you know, develop the willpower to not do something and actually got something for it.
Right.
So like there's something connecting here. Like are you like putting these dots together?
Yeah, because I believe in the laws of attraction.
Yeah.
Like, and like I being at that pre-release at Billerica, it's like more like a halfway house kind of thing. Like you're going to groups, you're going to mandatory groups. Now I was talking about pathways because like we had to do pathways in Framingham and I hated it. Everybody hated it. You just did it because you needed the good time and that's what you could get good time with. And you were there and you listened to them groups and they went in one ear and out the other. And you basically just did it to get the fuck out of there. You know, I didn't care about none of that shit. Yeah. Like I didn't care what these people were saying. The pathways stuff was so stupid.
Yeah.
The curriculum was just crazy.
It doesn't seem like it would work, even if it.
No, like one class we did, what is the cultural traditions in your family for like holidays for food?
Yeah.
Like,
What it's like, that doesn't
and
matter.
what, are we in preschool? Like, how is this going to affect my addiction and my trauma? Like, how is that even?
Right.
It's just ridiculous. So I go to pre-release over here and I go there and it's like, everybody's so nice there. The COs are dressed in regular clothes. They're not dressed in CO uniforms. We're calling them by their first names, which is weird to me.
Yeah.
They're calling me by my first name.
Yeah.
And I've been Nobles for, you know, years.
Yeah.
So even my friends are like Nobles. You know, they call me Nobles and, you know. So I get there and they're like, hi, Jamie, you know, welcome. And I'm just like, it's so weird. There's a yard. There's a dog there. They have a dog. You know, it's just like, it was crazy. It was overwhelming. And it was beds, real beds, bedrooms, bureaus.
That's the best right
closets to hang your stuff. It was just like, the other pre-release was the same way in Framingham. But we still had our scrubs there.
Yeah.
You still had to be in your scrubs to leave the unit. You know what I mean? Like you still had to stand for count. Over here, there was none of that shit. There was no uniform. You wore, like, I didn't have to wear the green t-shirt anymore. I ordered t-shirts or, you know, my family dropped me off stuff.
You know how sometimes you feel like God does things that at the time you feel like it's the worst thing ever, but sometimes they end up being the best things ever.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like you could have went to that pre-release and just, you know, probably not even made it because you didn't like it or something.
Right.
But because it didn't happen like that, you went to this one, maybe things, everything took a turn because of that.
Yeah. And at this point, like I'm getting there and only people that go there are people that are really trying to change their lives because, you know, people that are trying to do better. So we're doing groups and stuff. And now I'm like, oh, here we go. These fucking groups again. Like I hate them. So I've never did NA. I never understood any of that shit. Like I never understood any of it. Like I didn't understand why people wanted to be sober. Like I didn't have any of the tools. Like I didn't know any of the lingo, like we were talking about earlier. Like I didn't know any of that shit.
Yeah.
Like, so when we started going to groups now, we get, we doing different groups, and it's not till then that like when you're treated like a piece of shit, you start to feel like a piece of shit after a while. And like, that's how they treat you upstate. Like that in Framingham, they look at you like during COVID, like you're diseased, and like they're literally the ones that brought it in. But whatever, I'm the criminal, whatever. But they just look at you like you're a piece of shit. You're in jail. All the COs do. So it's like you have this like stigma that, and then you start to feel like that after a while. You start to feel like, just like when I was in jail, like I felt like a child. I felt like I was 25-year-old with these 25-year-olds that I'm like playing cards with and stuff. And it's like, I went to pre-release and I felt like an adult again. Like it's like weird. It was like, wow, I felt like I am a 40-something-year-old woman who has grown children. Yeah. And the way I was acting in Framingham was crazy to me. Like I don't even know who that person was, like to be partying and like, so I'm in pre-release, and now I'm going to these groups, and they're like, I'm starting to listen. I'm like, I'm here. I do want something to change. And if AA is what works, then I'll try it, So we had this one, lady that would do the groups, and her name is Martha, and my mother's name is Martha. And so she always, like, every time nobody's name's Martha,
Martha.
God does this shit to me, puts another Martha in my life. And so I'm in pre-release, and I'm going to these groups, and Martha's teaching me all this shit. She's she's in her own recovery. She's got family in jail. She's been there, done it. She's from Woes. She's tough. So I'm listening to her group, and then I'm starting to like listen to things, and things are starting to sound different. The quotes on the walls are starting to mean different things to me now. Like it's weird how like all of a sudden, like you read something, you can't love yourself, and you can't love anyone till you love yourself. Yeah, right. We've all heard that shit, but it's fucking true.
A little shift in perspective.
It's so true. Like, so what really was like a literal light switch for me, like I was in a group, and there was this girl in the group with us, and she was like talking, and she's like hating the group too. She falls asleep during class all the time. She never listens. Yeah. So the teacher's always on her. And the instructor, whatever the hell she was called. But she was like, she said that to her, you've never loved yourself. Yeah. How could you love anybody else? Right. So she was like, what do you mean? I love my mother, I love my kid. Like, she was like, no, you don't. And I was just, I'm thinking like, what do you mean she doesn't? Like, you're being rude. Like, like, what the fuck? You're going to make, you're going to start an argument is what you're going to do. Because now this girl's getting pissed. Like, yes, I do. How are you going to sit here and tell me? She's like, and then she said something, and I was like, it rang a bell for me. It was almost like she was talking to me, Yeah. And she said, basically, you love your kids instinctually because you're a mother and you love your kids. But if you loved yourself, you wouldn't be in this situation. Your kids wouldn't be in this situation right now. And I was just like, you know what? Like, that rang a bell for me because it's true. And then I started to think about like that saying, you can't love anyone until you love yourself. And I'm just like, all these years, I have never loved myself. I never loved the person that I was. I was always trying to be something different. Like, I thought being a drug dealer was the coolest shit. You know what I mean? It was the stupidest shit I ever did in my life, but also the smartest because it got me where I am right now, And so then I started listening to the class. I went to my room that day, and I stayed in my bed the whole rest of the day. And I swear to God, when like Boo Boo talks about he had an epiphany, it was not an epiphany. Nobody came to me and talked to me. It was myself. I realized that day, like, the only person that's going to change your life is you. You have nobody but yourself in this life. And until you stop being grateful for things that you do have, like, I was seeing people complaining about the pre-release, and I'm like, I'm sitting here and I'm fucking grateful. I'm like, this is great. Have you been to Framingham and Dartmouth? Like this? I'll do time here. Right. On my head. Like we're good.
Everybody always can complain about
Yeah.
being there, but
Yeah.
it's like you just came from the worst place in the whole world, and you're there with them, listening to them complain about this great place that you're in, like all
and then
these
you
perks,
get there and you know
and you're like,
cool.
yeah, you realize the perspective people have. They don't, not everybody's been through the shit we've been through. So like bad for them is maybe a little less than what bad for you might be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So perspective definitely gives people.
So I was thinking about it. I started to like pick up on things that, that they were teaching in the classrooms. And I'm like, like if you know AA, the turnarounds and stuff. And like, how can you be responsible for anything that's happened in your life, for anything? And this teacher's like sitting there like, you've been sexually assaulted. What is your part in this? Like, and I'm like, how is it my fault that I've been sexually assaulted? That I, not that I have, but you know what I mean? Like, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But the way she put it, she's absolutely right.
Yeah.
You putting yourself in those situations to be sexually assaulted. And I mean, not everybody does.
Yeah,
not every situation is like that. But like,
little controversial, but at the same time, it could be true.
Still to this day feel like, but the way she explained it was like, all right, you're making sense,
Risky situations, high risk
and
situations.
If we don't take responsibility for our actions, we're just going to keep blaming other people for everything bad.
Yeah.
And like I said, the law of attraction is real. And when we're living in that negativity, negative shit is just going to keep happening.
Right. It's a victim mentality.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And as soon as like, I'm so aware of people now when they're like not ready, and they're like, I've been living in a sober house since I got out, so I just recently moved out. And, like when people come into the sober house and I'm like, and they're like, got that poor me bullshit. I'm like, yeah, she's gonna relapse.
So you were just living in one pretty recently? And how long did you end up staying in there?
So I was in pre-release for like 10 months.
Yep.
And then because I had a mandatory sentence, I couldn't go out to work. So Middlesex has this program where you can get out on a bracelet and go to work.
Yeah.
Which doesn't make any fucking sense to me. Like, I can't go to work from jail and come back to jail every night, but I can go live in a sober house, live out on the street, and go to work like that.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like an ideal situation. I was on house arrest. I had to like tell them, I had to give them a schedule. I had a week ahead of time what I had in my appointments.
Yep.
My job schedule. I couldn't leave the house unless I had permission. You know what I mean? Like, I almost got in trouble one time because I went to a doctor's appointment and they sent me across the street to the lab, to the hospital. And I walked across the street and they were like, what are you doing?
You really?
And I was like, I didn't think it would be a big deal. I'm still at the appointment. Like, what the fuck? They were like ready to come and arrest me. And I'm like.
And that's in Fall River though?
No, that was out here. So,
okay.
So now I'm getting out and I'm in pre-release and I'm like, I'm feeling good. I'm doing these groups and like, I'm starting to like realize like things like I said, the sayings on the walls are meaning different things to me now. And I know basically, like, I know that's like that through that I did a class there, codependency class there. And that's how I like realized like this shit is real. Like, and that's how it started for me. It's not for everybody, but like, that's been my problem my whole life. It's been codependency. And it started with my mom, my relationship with my mother. And it's trickled down to my kids,
Being able to connect all those dots, like how important is that for making a change?
I never have connected those dots in my life until now. Like obviously I knew because I know now. Nobody told me.
Right.
It was just like stuff that I've learned in these classes and stuff, the classes that I never paid attention. I didn't care about, all of a sudden I was interested. And but the one thing, like I'm not big on, like, I'm not going to say I follow NA or AA,
Right.
I do believe AA is a way of life. Like, and if everybody could do that, it would be a great world. Imagine we could all be kind and nice and like, you know what I mean? Like, it would be great.
Yeah.
This time when I got out, that jail really set me up. They set me up for that sober house.
Yeah.
That I was in that program and I was only on that bracelet program for like a month. It was just a way to get me out a month earlier because I was already ready for parole in a month.
Right.
So once I got out, they set me up with the sober house and I was moving to Lowell. And they wouldn't let me go back to Fall River. They were like, if you want to get out early, you're going to have to stay around here. Like, we don't think it's a good idea for you to go back to Fall River.
Yeah.
So.
Probably right.
Oh, yeah. It was the best. That's the best thing I ever did in my life. And now I've lived in Fall River now basically my whole life. And I never thought I would leave Fall River. Like, that's where my family is. You know what I mean? Sean's left Fall River. He lives in Methuen. So while I was in jail, my brother Chad got clean and he moved to New Hampshire, to Nashua. he got into a program out there, and he's working for a program out there. And now I'm hearing all this stuff about Chad, like doing big things in NA, like, running meetings and like commitments and having like 300 people at his commitments and stuff. So I'm like hearing all this good stuff about Chad, and so Chad's been in and out of jail his life too. Dartmouth, he never did a statement, but just for stupid shit,
Yeah.
And Chad comes to see me at the pre-release. Now I haven't talked to him. Our relationship, our whole life has been drugs. Me and him going to cops together. Like, he used to sell dope too, but he was doing it for his own habit. You know what I mean? And Chad's the youngest out of us, out of the Nobles kids, and he's been the one that's gotten picked on, like Boo Boo picked on him.
Yeah.
He's just been the one that was overweight, and
right.
like, he had a lot going on.
I've seen pictures of Chad.
Yeah, but he's awesome. So he came to visit me at the jail, and the visits there were like in the library of the house, and it was just like 2 chairs. It wasn't like comfortable, recliners. It was nice. This house was furnished with furniture. It was a house.
Yeah,
it wasn't jail. People walking around that worked there, but they were in clothes. They looked like they were part of the house.
Yeah.
So we're cooking dinner together. We're not even eating state food because we don't have to. That the house, they had everything. Burgers, French fries. We hadn't had French fries in years, so it's like, wow. So we're we're getting spoiled. They really do spoil the girls there. So I'm getting out. I'm going to Lowell. Sean, my brother Sean, is like, he's been helping me through jail. He helped me in pre-release. He got me all new clothes for pre-release and stuff. And like, honestly, if I didn't have his support, like the first time I got out of jail, I thought like I didn't have shit. Nobody believed that I was going to do the right things.
Right.
So, and they were still getting their own lives together. So I got out and I literally jumped back into mom, sister, that responsibility. And I just did what I had to do. This time I literally was like, I'm going to Lowell. My kids didn't even believe me. They were like, you're not going to Lowell. Shut up, mom. Yeah, I'll see you on Tuesday,
Yeah.
And I'm like, you guys, you're going to see, like, I'm not coming home. Like, it's not happening. I can't,
Yeah.
So I go to the sober house. I've never been to a program in my life. I've never been to a program. I've never detoxed. So I've always had shit. I never had to do any of those things. So I'm in this sober house and got a bracelet on. I can't leave. And I was just so overwhelmingly grateful to be there. Like, I was like, I'm going to be so uncomfortable, but I'm so used to sleeping with strangers, and having strangers for roommates and stuff. And then my brother Sean came to see me that day, and I hadn't seen him in years,
Yeah.
Last time I seen him, he was like dying and, had surgery and couldn't walk. And but he's doing so good. And I'm hearing all the stories and, I'm proud. And I'm proud that I'm in a different headspace. So Chad comes to visit me. Me and Chad talked for like 2 hours straight. And it was the first time in my life. I didn't even want him to leave. I was just like, the CEO came to the door and was like, you guys got to wrap it up. And I was like, no, like, I didn't want him to leave because you like in the beginning, I would get like such a high off talking about our shit, like our childhood, the shit we went through, like growing up. We had a fucked up situation. You know what I mean? We made the best of it. But like, and my mom, like I said, we never knew that we were broke, you know what I mean? Like, because she always made shit happen, Getting out this time, like I got home and it never like I had money at this job, at this pre-release, you could earn money there. And you got a job and they actually didn't pay you $6 a day. It wasn't like that. There you got paid by the hour. Like by the end of the week, I would have like $80 a week.
You know what's crazy is like you got to leave from prison before you went to the sober house and go to a pre-release, which is like a house. So it kind of set you up for success in the sober house almost. I feel like if they did that for everybody, it would be a lot better. More success.
These programs out there are just taking people in who are not even ready. You know what I mean? Like this house, I went there and this place basically, I met people that I never felt worthy of being involved with because I didn't feel like I was good enough to be involved with these people, like good people. Like people who did the right thing in their life. You know what I mean? They wanted to be in my life. So it was like weird that like, why are they around me? You know what I mean? Like, so I was just like, in the beginning, I felt like I didn't fit in and I probably never would. But now it's like, all these people that I have in my life now, I'm so grateful for, and they're all good people.
Yeah.
Like there's a couple, you know, you have a few, but like the people that I work for, they're awesome. Like they know my story. They knew when I went there, like I was on parole. You know what I mean? The parole officer came to work, you know, visited me at my job. They knew, you know, and at first I was like, damn, this is so embarrassing, but it's not, you know, and at this point, I don't care anymore. Like, it is what it is. And you're getting the real me right now.
Yeah.
Since I've lived in Lowell, like, I feel like I can be myself. Like, nobody knows that Jamie. They don't even believe me.
Yeah.
Like, when I'm at work, if I start talking about my shit, like a CEO will come into my job and I'll be like, hey, how are you? You know, it's weird to see you on this side, you know?
Yeah.
And they're like, how do you know them? Like, they work at the jail. And I'm like, I was in jail. And they're like, no way. I'm like, I'm telling you, I was in jail. Trust me, for years.
Yeah.
And, so all together, I ended up doing like 6 years. It was like I got out. I had 3.5 Mando the first time.
Yeah.
So I got out with that, and then the second time I had 3.5 Mando. But was it 3? Yeah, I had 3.5 Mando for the second time. But I ended up doing like 4 years, just about 4 years.
Yep.
So I got out on parole. Now this time when I went to parole, like I had already been out. I already had a job. I was only on that program for like a month. Like a friend at Sober House, she worked at Five Guys. I haven't worked in years. Like I haven't had a real job in like 15 years.
Yeah.
Like I've been selling drugs literally for that long.
Yeah.
So
doing all those things is hard, huh?
Right. And I'm just like, so my friend's like, I'm working at Five Guys. I can get you a job there. And I'm like, Guys, like I'm way better than Five Guys. Like, but I was like, you know what? Right now, I will take it. You know, whatever.
Yeah.
Get me the fuck out of this house, so I don't have to be stuck in this house with the bracelet. I'll work as much as they want. You know,
can't have an ego when you're trying to
right.
recover,
And I was honestly, I was overwhelmingly grateful for the shit that I was doing. Like I literally got there. I had a bed. Like my brother Sean brought me a cell phone. He helped me out with like everything, you know, and I never had that support. I never like I had to last time I got out, I need a cell phone.
Right.
So I got out with like $200 or something the last time. That's what I bought. And that was it. You know, this time I got out with like $1,000. Like, and that was a good help.
Yeah.
I got out with a place to stay where I didn't have to pay rent for a couple months. You know, I had the grants and stuff. Like no one has ever set me up like that or helped me. I never asked for help. I never thought I needed help.
Yeah, but you realize where it all came from is that you made a decision not to get high when you went back in that cell.
Yeah, because so it's the law of attraction. Once you start thinking smarter, start thinking more positively, positive things really literally start to happen for you. And it's like it's a whole attitude change. You feel like I just felt like a different person. Like and everybody was like, she's gonna go home and sell drugs. You know what I mean? But I was like, hell no, I'm not. And I haven't.
Do you run into people any more nowadays like oh, Jamie Noble was like trying to bring up your old reputation? Like that? What's your reaction to that?
Before, like, I'll tell you a story. One time I was in my cell in Dartmouth and I was already there for a little while. They wouldn't let me go over to the women's center because somebody put a keep away on. It was like a big thing. Yeah. So I'm stuck in the intake unit because that's where I'm stuck, you know? So, this girl comes in my cell late at night and she was like, I was like, you can turn the light on, you know, it's cool. I know how it is, you know, whatever. Get your shit together and go to bed. So she was like, oh, do you know Jamie Nobles? And I was like, no. Why? I was like, why? She was like, oh, no, I just wanted to know if you knew. I know she's here, blah, blah. I'm like, bro, like, stop playing. You know, I'm Jamie. She was like, I knew you look familiar, blah, blah. I'm like, I don't know you from a hole in the wall. Yeah. It's just weird shit like that. Like, I don't know you. Stop. I get on the van, they'd be like, oh, you're Jamie. Like, you know, oh, what was your sister, your brother? And, you know, now I feel like they're getting older. A lot of these young kids don't know.
They don't even know.
They have no idea. You know what I mean? Like they have literally no idea. Yeah. Who these kids were and what they would have done. Right. You know, like before.
The generation that I feel like we all came from is a little bit tougher than these new kids, man.
Oh my God. It's even my own kids, like I see, I'm like, you guys. My oldest, she's older, so she's down for the cause. Like she's. Okay. My youngest, though, she's just like, yeah, whatever. I'll call the cops. No, you will not. Like, don't ever say that again.
Yeah, like, that stigma would have got kicked out of the family before.
Right, and then don't say that in this family, you know. But now, so I get out and I'm doing my thing. I started going to school to Merrimack inside there. Like they had we were taking classes, you know, the teachers were coming. So now I have this professor who's like, she's been like, if I didn't have her, I swear, I don't know. So that's another person that's in my life that's a square, you know what I mean? That I never felt comfortable being around, or like, because I always had this like thing in my head, like, you're a drug dealer, stay away from hell away from the people on that side. You know what I mean? I just didn't want to put it in people's faces, and I still in denial like back then. So I finally in the group, and like we would go to the gym, we'd go to the Phoenix to work out. They would
go to Phoenix every day.
Really?
Yeah.
So we were doing CrossFit and stuff. We would go to the Phoenix, and you know, at the Phoenix, they start off and they're like, oh, you introduce yourself, and they start off with an icebreaker. And it took me so many months to be like, I'm Jamie, I'm an addict. You know what I mean? I just wouldn't say anything.
Yeah.
And to say it out loud and to admit it for the first time, it was like, I felt like everybody watched me and nobody even realized I said it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I was going, I'm Jamie, and I would just let it go. And you know, and everybody else would be like, oh, I'm an addict, you know, heroin, you know, like announcing it. And I'm just like, I'm not admitting that. I'm not, that's not me, you know?
Yeah.
But until like I finally did some of the step work, because I haven't done it all, but started to admit it, like, and once you get past that, it's like almost like a weight lifted off your shoulder.
You humble yourself.
It's so humbling, like it's such a humbling feeling that, like, I don't know, it's just a weight. Once you admit it, it's like you've done that and you're not ever going to go back, because now everybody knows. You know what I mean? Like, all these people are in my life for a reason, because it's like keeping me straight. It's keeping me like, I can't go back now. So now I'm almost done with school. I almost have my bachelor's in psychology now, and it's like,
Damn, that's awesome.
I'm like 20 credits away from having that.
That's
and
awesome.
It's like, you know, like I never wanted to go back to school. I never had any intention. I never had the confidence to go back to school. So I'm doing these classes in school, in jail, and I'm like, wow, I'm doing good. And my teacher's like, yo, you're going to school after this. Like, so I got out, and they started this program at Merrimack where like inmates and stuff can go to go to Merrimack.
That's
for
awesome.
Free.
Yeah.
Merrimack's a private college.
Yeah,
you know what
it
I
is.
mean?
It's an awesome college. I was actually gonna go there. I'm in post now, but Merrimack I couldn't afford.
So look into it, because they do have a program with people coming out of jail.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And it's a private school. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a nice school.
So it's awesome. Like I never went to college, so I don't know. Like, so I get out and I'm going to the school for classes now. I'm 47, and like, these kids are young. I'm in these classes. These kids are whipping out their
Wow.
So cool. They're whipping out their laptops, and they're like downloading pictures, dropping it into this file, and I'm like, what? The whole class is in there. I was so like, I almost quit. Like, I literally, the first couple times I went, I left there like in tears, like I can't do this. Because like, I don't know, I'm spending the whole hour of class trying to figure out how to drop this thing that they're already past that. You know, at this point, I'm still trying to, but the teacher knows my situation. She knows that I'm a return, obviously. I'm not getting invited to any parties at this point. You know what I mean? Like, they're like, oh, lady.
Yeah.
But, so she knew my situation. I hit up that teacher, and I was like, bro, I don't know if I can do this. Like, this shit's crazy. I don't know how to work this computer. Like, I don't know this shit, you know? And so she was like, she met me, her and another teacher that run the program. And she met me, and she was like, you're not quitting. This is easy shit. You've gone through the shit you've gone through, and you're gonna quit because you can't run your computer. Like, really? You're being a child right now. She's like, Jamie, do you want to like go back to prison? Do you want to change your life? You know, and I'm just like, yeah, like, but if I didn't have her like setting everything up for me, I would have never came home and set that up for myself. Yeah, I would have had every intention on doing it, but would have never happened, you know?
God puts the right people in your life as you need them.
It's so true. And I'm not big on religion and stuff. Like, I believe in a higher power. Like, he's there. Somebody's there. But like, I'm not praising God. I'm not praying. I pray, but like, you know what I mean? There is something, there's gotta be, you know what I mean? And like, I started to read like the Buddha recovery and stuff. And I really got into that stuff, like being kind and being nicer and like just living like a righteous life,
the
and
balance
like
and all that.
Balance and meditating. I really got into meditating. Like, I started to exercising, which that's over. But
that's big for me to do an exercise.
Really? Because my house manager at the sober house, she runs the Phoenix in Lowell.
Oh, okay. There is
And
the Phoenix and Lowell. That's right. That's the other location.
yeah, it's closed down right now because they had like a situation. The
Oh.
jail ran it, and they had a situation. One of the COs killed himself.
The
and,
jail ran that shit?
Yeah, it was like in the
Really?
there's like a Middlesex County office where
Yeah.
they do like programming. They help you get your ID, like
Yeah.
stuff like that. And so we were going there, and the girl, she's in recovery, Tiffany. She's actually from, I want to say like New Bedford or something. She's from, and she does the CrossFit. She's so into it, and she's always trying to like get me to go. And I'm like, Tiffany, get away from me.
It's
like,
hard when you get older, yeah.
When I'm in jail and that's the only thing getting me off the unit, I'm doing it. But no, you are not making me do 100 fucking squats right now. Like, no, it's not happening. So that place really actually helped me out a lot. And like that lady Martha, and there was a priest there. He's pretty cool. Like, I never went to his communion or his mass or anything, but he would do a group and I would do his group. And I work at a diner now in Lowell.
Yeah.
Owl Diner, come visit me.
Owl Diner. Yeah.
If you live in Lowell, you know what it is.
Yeah.
So he actually comes into the diner all the time, and he's just like, and like other people come in and they're like, oh my God. And like, I have friends now that I never, like I was saying, I never would expect people to be, and you know what? I'm so honest with them now. It's just like, I never would have been this open with, especially with people like this. These are good people. Like the friends that I have now, like, people that I work with and stuff. It's just so crazy. It's really amazing. Like,
so how do I don't even know how to phrase it, because it's kind of crazy. It's like it's really an amazing fucking story of recovery. I'm not even gonna lie. Like your whole story is actually badass. It's a fucking badass story. It really is. It's serious. Like, just losing those people that were so close to you, your son, your brother, like all the like addiction, just possible suicide, just everything, just going to prison, just finding that recovery on your own, you know what I mean, doing it for yourself. Like, you didn't have anybody to force you to do that at the time, and you did it because you wanted to. I mean, like, that's just gonna offer people, like, just, I don't know, man. I know people are gonna get a lot out of this story.
I hope so, because that's like, I want to give back now.
Yeah,
like, I've been that person that's contributed to for a long time, like contributed to people's habits, and I don't feel good about that, and I don't want that to be a legacy that I'm leaving behind. Just like I know Boo Boo doesn't want his legacy to be this big, tough guy.
Like,
you know what I mean? Like, he's not that person anymore. That person made him who he is today. And like, honestly, getting arrested, when I first got arrested, like I said, I blame the cops. They don't mind their own business. They don't, snitches are just pieces of shit. And I still believe those things, but but I know that I'm responsible for what happened to me. And I know, like, the way I'm living now, the things that I've changed in my life and the way that my life has changed, I'm more at peace now than I've ever been in my life. And it's just such a crazy feeling. Like, I want everybody that I care about to have that, you know what I mean? Like, and this, like, we're still having losses, even though I've been out of jail it'll be 3 years in October. So I've lived out here. I have no intention on going back to Florida. My daughters are there, and I go visit, and when I get just driving into Fall River, I get like an instant feeling of like, I'm home. You know what I mean? And but there's nobody there anymore. Everybody's like dead, dying, messed up, in jail, and it's just not the same. Like, the people are not the same. They don't know me. When I'm fine with that, like, that's fine. Like, older people know me and they've heard, but like, there's a whole generation of new kids coming in, you know, they don't know, and they're in jail and they're waving guns around. And, when my brothers were younger, they fought with their fists. They didn't need or like a knife or a bat, or, but there was no guns. We didn't, I never saw a gun when I was a kid. You know what I mean? And all the shit my brothers did, they didn't, till they were older, they didn't get involved in that stuff, you know? But
I feel like Fall River has probably got to be one of the hardest hit cities for addiction, period. You see it in the prison. You'll see it when you go to the city. You know what I mean? Any program you go to, you're going to have Fall River people there. Fucking, like, it just seems like it got
I still to this day get hit up by people asking me if I have anything. Are you around? I went to Fall River a couple of weeks ago for Mother's Day, and I saw a lady that I know that I used to sell to, and she saw me, and I was like, hey, how are you? She was like, I was at a red light. She came running up to the car and was like, please tell me you have something. I was like, get out of here. Like,
right.
I was like, no, sorry. He's like, no.
Ain't that party.
Yeah, it ain't, because people don't believe it. You say it.
Yeah.
But it's been 3 years now. And you don't know that it's happening. Like,
it's because people can't see change for themselves, dude. So they can't see change for somebody else. Like, it's so hard to get change, like actually fucking do it. But it takes that first action. That first action.
It literally like is a light switch. And like, until you understand that, until you get that, till that happens for you, you're never going to get clean. Like, people, like, for me, I blamed it on, at first I was like blaming it on my childhood trauma, you know. There's always somebody worse off than you.
Oh yeah,
there literally is. And I get it. Everybody's worse is worse for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, your dog could have died and it could have devastated you.
Oh yeah.
My son passed away. It devastated me. But it's the same kind of feeling. You know what I mean? For you as it is for me.
It's a different thing. You know
right. And it's different for everybody. Like, people don't understand.
It's a tolerance level.
Yeah.
People's tolerance levels. They have different tolerance levels, but it's the same thing. Stress does the same thing to a body, no matter what it's from. You know what I mean?
And I've learned so much being in like psychology classes. I've learned so much about like how your brain works and like things that we do to ourselves. Like my daughter till this day, she's still into that mentality that like, you know, her life sucks and it's everybody else's fault. Like, change it, do something about it. You know what I mean? So anyway, long story short, I'm doing good. I almost graduated with my bachelor's. Like, anybody, if I can do it, if Sean can do it, Boo Boo can change his life. I know anybody can do it.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It was good that I had the support that I had now. This time I had Chad, I had Sean, I have other people, good people in my life now.
Yep.
You know, and it's working.
Well, it's been amazing, but I appreciate you coming on and telling your story. And I really enjoyed it. And I'm gonna edit this up and get out. And appreciate it.
I know a bunch of women that were in prison too.
Yeah.
So.
Send them my way.
Actually, my friend is out here. And before I asked my brother, I asked her. And she was like, yeah, I'll come on there. She's she's from Florida, but she's living in Dorchester. And she actually murdered somebody. And so it's like.
Damn. Is she older? Is her name?
No.
Okay.
This is the girl, Adrian. She's my age. She stabbed a guy in the leg and he died.
Oh, let me ask you before we go. You remember Joey Redding? What happened with that? Did you what happened with that? Why did he get stabbed?
He was, do you know Joe?
Yeah, I know him.
Joe was awesome. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, Joe's got a lot of respect in Brotherhood. Yeah. He's a good dude. You know, I used to sell him drugs, but but I also know about his respect, and I always like gave him that. You know, he was robbing a dealer, and I guess the kid stabbed him in the leg.
Damn. Yeah, I heard about it when I was
stabbed by and killed by some lame.
I heard he was a lame too.
And actually, I seen the kid on the van when I got arrested. Joey's wife ended up getting a case and coming into Dartmouth when I was there, and she's like a square, but she started doing the same thing as me, selling drugs when Joey, you know. And she was making mad money. So girls do it better. Anyway, so she came in and it was like right after Joe died. She got arrested and she had like $1 million in cash and like she got fucked. She was like a Rhode Island thing, you know? Yeah. So anyway, the day that I got sentenced to go to Framingham, the kid that killed Joe Redding was in court.
Damn.
So we were at the courthouse together and I was like, what's your name? And his name is Adam. I gave that kid such a hard time all the way to court. I loved every minute of it because Joey Redding was like a friend of, you know what I mean? And that was like,
he's my buddy too.
That was hard. Like that, he was a good dude, like solid ass dude from Brotherhood, like one of the last ones. You know what I mean? Like, and I was just like, you're a piece of shit. You can't even do time in Dartmouth. You can't do time. I said, you're not even, they didn't even sentence him to Shirley. He ended up doing his time in like Nash Street.
Really?
In Boston because he was
he would get crushed up out there.
He was getting death threats and shit. And I was just so confused. I'm like, why did they drop him off in Boston? You know what I mean? But that was why. And
that's so weird. Nash is like a fucking
he was talking so much shit to me too. Like he didn't know me.
Yeah.
But and the other guys on the van knew me. Yeah. And were on my side. So they were going along with it. We crashed that whole like his whole life.
Yeah, he's gonna have a hard road ahead of him.
I probably wouldn't do something like that nowadays, but I was just getting sentenced going to Framingham.
Right.
I was like, what? You know, like what? You could join like you're fucked.
Yeah.
You know, but
well, I appreciate that. Thank you so much for coming on, Jamie. It's been great.
No, you know.